All right, and we're live, and we're not doing an intro because I'm tired of that shit already.
Hey everyone.
Hey everyone. Back with Dan.
That's me.
That's you, unfortunately. But his mom's paying me to spend time with him, so
Ah.
it's not a complete waste of my time.
Well,
But yeah, we got a few things to talk about today.
now that we're back to virtual, you can kick me out whenever you want.
Yes, yes, like so. Ah, there it is. But yeah, we got some things to talk about. Little news stuff about a certain YouTuber called Heels versus Babyface. He had some gripes about a new game by some unknown developer, Bethesda, I believe. I mean, I've never heard of
Oh,
them.
what a weird name.
Yeah, um, and we got some Starfield news about something, and I also kind of want to talk about a specific game developer who responded to his video, and he also wanted to call out other YouTubers. I guess I'm not too familiar with that, but this just so happens to be the guy. He is very much a feminist. Well, I don't even know if calling him a feminist is the right word. Um, but he respects women, and he's a very respectful guy. He loves women. Um, you might know him. You maybe not know him by name. I think
Oh.
David Jaffe. He is the creator, the creative director of the original God of War games.
Mm.
Yeah, very pro
Okay.
feminist. Very
Oh yeah.
didn't use naked women as door stoppers or anything like that. Didn't have any sex mini games in
Yeah,
those
there's no
games.
sex mini games in God of War.
Yeah, nothing like that. So that's fine. But yeah, he's got some things to say. But and then we got some Call of Duty news to talk about, which is kind of alarming. And of course, how could we forget? Well, I shouldn't say how could we forget. I think a lot of people want to forget Ahsoka. Um, so yeah, we will get right into it. How you doing, Dan?
Doing
I
all right,
care.
Sunday afternoon.
I don't care.
Drag me on to here, and God, here we
Yeah,
go. I
only
gotta now hang out with you again.
only because I needed another person. Like you're, like if I
Yes.
could do this, if I could do this on my own, I would.
Like if I could just get an AI answer questions for me, I would just do it.
So I got a quick little question for you. How much of this Call of Duty stuff do you know about? I kind of talked to you about it last night about the AI stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say not too much. Let's see.
Okay.
I try to give a brief
So this
explanation.
this is particularly interesting. So apparently, they want to use AI, and I haven't actually read this article. Um, Here, let me just pull it up here. But yeah, there's apparently this AI. They want to start using AI to dictate what you can and can't say on their servers. So essentially, they want to use, from what I understand, they're going to use specific words to, like, if it's deemed offensive in any way, they will ban that word. You can't use it. If you use any of those words in their servers, party chat, whatever, they will ban you for life, from what I understand. But yeah, this is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's AI moderation tool explained. Basically, let's see. Modern
Hmm.
Warfare 3 is set to introduce a revolutionary AI moderation tool for multiplayer voice chat, aiming to address the long-standing issue of online trash talk and toxic encounters.
That's like the best part.
Online trash, the long issue.
But like that's also like the best part. That's what makes it fun.
Right. I
You
mean,
know,
anyone who's competitive about anything is going to trash talk in some sort of way. Our literal channel is called Trash Talk. So
Mhm.
I mean, but like my thing is, they want to say toxic encounters. What, that people were using specific word? I mean, I was called the N word. I'm very much white. Like I'm not even close to
Mhm.
what they were calling me. It
Yep.
just blows my mind. And also the fact that you had 10-year-olds telling me they fucked my mom. It's like
Yep.
it's like what? So
Well, it's like
I
well, it's like they always say. I feel like people nowadays would not last in the
Mhm.
old Modern Warfare 2 lobbies.
Yep, exactly. So let's see. The AI technology called ToxMod, great name for it.
Hmm.
ToxMod um, will use procedural learning techniques to detect and flag inappropriate language, such as racism, sexism, and ableism. I'm so tired of this stupid ass term, ableism. I love it.
Oh, it's
so,
so good.
uh, such as racism, sexism, and ableism in real time. It will create reports for manual review, allowing the software to improve without falsely banning players. This move by Activision reflects the negative perception of Call of Duty's online experience. Because it's just been Call of Duty, right? It's never been anything else. Like I've never been called anything playing Fortnite. Just saying.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
which has
it's
been
awesome.
associated with trash talking or online. Yeah. Um, the introduction of ToxMod and Microsoft's voice chat report system demonstrates the video game industry's efforts to crack down on unfiltered multiplayer voice interaction and make online spaces safer. Oh yes, an M-rated game, an M-rated game. I'm so glad because us as adults, if you're old enough to be playing a game, that's weird. That's a weird way. Why didn't you tell me about that? That's weird. um, so an M-rated game such as Call of Duty, right?
Yep, 17 plus.
17 plus, and yet we're not. We have to make these adults, these kid adults, essentially kid adult
Mhm.
children, literal man babies. We have to make them feel safe, right? Because hurt feelings is just too much for a grown ass man who's playing a video game that's trying to kill other people. That's
Yeah.
that's that's too much for them to handle.
Well, and it's funny too, is like if the chat is so bad, right? Like you just can't handle it, whatever. Like just mute them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just
Yep.
mute the multiplayer like chat and just play the game, like just right regularly. Like why do you have to like I don't know why you have
Right.
to censor everyone else if you can't
Right.
handle
Like
it.
why
Just
why
mute.
should why should everyone else have to cater to all these weirdos that just can't handle
Mm-hmm.
uh banter. Essentially, that's what it is. It's banter. You
Yeah.
know, stop calling it this toxic behavior. Stop calling it toxic masculinity and all this stuff you want to call it. That's not what it is. It's just people being friends, like essentially. Like I've had people trash talk me. I remember playing Uncharted. I think it was Uncharted 2 or 3 online. And I had this dude calling me every name in the book. Everything, literally anything. And this was not an M-rated game, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of our session, we played multiple games together. He was trash talking me. I was trash talking him. We were getting heated with each other. He friend requested me. He sent me a friend request.
Yeah.
And then we played the next week.
So I mean, I remember that in like, I remember in Halo or Gears of War, even
Mm-hmm.
recently in Dead by Daylight. People, that's what you do.
Yeah.
You message each other, or like you'll yell at each other. Oh, why'd you do that? Why'd you do this? And you're whatever.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it's just some random person on the internet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I understand if they were like harassing you. They were every day they're sending you messages, or let's say they threatening things, especially about, let's say, they know your address or something crazy. Of course that should be moderated.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, if they're just trash talking, it's like that's part of the fun.
Right. Yeah, and it kind of gets everyone to kind of want to work harder to be better, I guess.
Mhm.
I mean, as someone who worked in warehouse jobs and stuff like that, like, when you're on one assembly line working, and then there's another assembly line, like, and someone's trash talking you and saying like, oh, we're doing better than you guys, we're crushing it and you guys suck and this, that, and the other. It's going to make everyone else work harder,
Mhm.
essentially. And working in a warehouse job, you're essentially working as a team. So when someone else is trash talking you, and you may be competitive, sure, but like, you're still part of the same team. So if anything, you're motivating other people.
Mhm.
You know, and if you are in any sports, if you did any football or basketball or whatever, you're going to be pushed. People are going to trash talk you there.
Yeah, I mean, people like like Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he was well known for trash talking. That's like
Hmm.
part of the fun, to get into
Yeah.
people's heads.
And that's another thing. They want to talk about how toxic the Star Wars fandom is, how toxic the video game fandom is.
Mhm.
Try sports. Those are
Yeah.
probably those people are probably more toxic than anyone at the
Oh
end of the
yeah.
day.
I mean, every time a documentary comes out where they show like audio recordings of like in the game what the players say to each other, it's
Mhm.
always funny. It's always like, oh man, they're just, they
Yeah.
ripped on each other.
I mean, you'll literally have fights in the middle of a football game. you know,
Yep.
and not just the players, but the people watching in the stands.
Oh yeah.
You'll always have
Yep.
fights. And so it just blows my mind that it's like, oh, video games, we have to censor that. That's not allowed here. And it's clear that no one's really paid attention to sports or anything, or into sports. They
Mhm.
may say they are, but they're really, they don't even know. And I can't even say that I'm the biggest sports guy, and
Mhm.
it's just like, what the hell.
Yeah.
So,
Well, like you said, it's like these games are rated M for mature. Like
mhm.
there's blood, there's of course, other graphic content or whatever. And it's just like, but yet a few words is really the worst thing in the world.
Yep. And I'll
Well,
tell you something.
crazy.
I'll tell you something. This almost ruined it for me, but when I got the Dead Space remake,
Mhm.
there was this option to like censor everything. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, this is an M-rated horror game. I'm like, what the hell? Where you're dismembering these
Yes.
monsters. You're literally cutting off their limbs,
Mhm.
shooting off their limbs, and I'm just like, what the hell does that even mean? What does that look like in the game? So I went on YouTube. Before playing the game, I went on YouTube, and they put like a little blur box over the graphic scenes, the graphic cutscenes.
Like,
Yeah. So essentially, what they do is, there will be like a, so like, for instance, there was a clip where I saw someone walk into a room. They walked into a
mhm.
room. Now in the scene, this woman's supposed to, like, she's like cutting someone open, like a dead corpse open or whatever,
Mhm.
and she's doing her thing, and she turns around and looks at you and takes her fucking saw or whatever and slices her throat, and then she dies. She killed her. She did it.
Yeah.
And so when you have this setting on, when you walk into that room, they put a big blur box over that. So you can hear everything that's going on, but you can't see it. And I'm just like, this is an M-rated game.
Yeah, and how incredibly lame is that? Like, who buys Dead Space to censor it?
Right.
Like, you know what you're getting into when you buy the game.
Exactly. And I just couldn't get over that. I might actually try to find a clip of that. But I was just so, and I've heard the argument. I've heard the argument where it's like, oh, um, what if they're playing with kids in the room? What if there's a kid that's in the room and they still want to play the game? Easy answer: don't play the fucking game when the kids are around.
Yeah, like it's rated M for mature.
Right.
That's
And
like complaining that like that's like complaining like an R-rated movie, like let's say Halloween or something, has like a sex scene in it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what if children are watching? And it's like, well, it's for adults.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you know what you're getting into. You know what I mean?
Tell the kids to go upstairs. Tell them to play. Go play. Hey, I'm busy doing this. Yeah. But I couldn't believe that. And actually, I think I found one. But it just goes to show how stupid these people are, man. Let's see if this plays. Is it showing up on your end?
Yeah, it's still loading, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, let me know when it's there.
All right, yeah, I see it.
Okay.
There's an option in the settings. I think it's an accessibility. You can put on content warning. Should we check it out? And then like you can hide disturbing scenes. You can hide the disturbing scenes behind a screen effect. I just want to see what it looks like. Content warning. The upcoming section contains depictions of self-inflicted death. There's the video effect that covers the disturbing images. It just blurs everything out. I can't see anything. I can't even aim.
What's the point of playing?
Yeah.
All right.
And all the dude does is bang his head on the wall and dies.
All right, I'm going to turn that off now. I just wanted to see it.
It's pointless.
Yeah, it's so incredibly lame.
Yeah. I saw that.
I love how there's blood everywhere, and he's walking around with his gun. It's just like, oh, we can't see. Oh man, you can't see a guy bang his head on the wall though. That's too graphic, I guess.
Right. Sorry, something else was playing. But yeah, I just saw that. I remember seeing that. I was like, this makes me not want to play this fucking game. It almost made me not want to play it. Not to mention, they have story mode, the classic story mode, because Dead Space has always been rich in story, right? Especially the first game where, you're playing as a character who has so much dialogue in the first game.
Oh, so
now, granted, he has dialogue in this remake. I understand that. I get that. But fucking story mode, the whole point of the game is that you're playing this game and you want the sense that, like, if I go into this room, am I going to be prepared? Do I have enough ammo? Do I have enough med packs and stuff like that to get through this section, because I might die. There should always be that fear of dying in a horror and survival horror game, especially a survival horror game.
Yeah.
So this story mode, you don't need to worry about. I don't even know why med packs are even in the fucking game, because when you have story mode on, you automatically heal no matter what. Yeah, it automatically heals you. It does, you don't use, there's a lot more ammo and stuff like that, and you don't take as much damage. You barely take any fucking damage. So,
huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess it's similar to, yeah. I see what you mean, where it's just like extremely easy, where it's like
Yeah.
just focus on the story, even though
Which
the
is
game itself is
fine,
already
I
pretty easy.
guess, but for a game like that, that's like putting a story mode in Elden Ring or Dark Souls. You know, like what's the point
People,
of it then? The whole draw is that it's hard. You
people
know,
are actually complaining about that and wanting that.
right?
The easy
And
mode in Dark Souls, and it's like, dude, that's the point of the game. It's
right.
supposed to be difficult.
And that's the thing, you know, they want this diversity and inclusion, like, oh, everyone should be able to play this game. Well, not every game's for everyone. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just not. I mean, for a while, I wasn't a Final Fantasy guy. I never thought I'd be a Final Fantasy guy, and then I started playing them, and I kind of liked them, sure, but I never got into playing video games or watching movies if I didn't think I would be into it. I might try. If I hear enough good things, I might try, but I'm not going to go out of my way. If something's not for me, it's just not for me. If I don't like Dark Souls for being because it's so hard, what makes you think I want to play any more of them?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
I mean, granted, they're fun, but you know, yeah, they are hard.
well, like you said, it's like if it's not for you, then it's not for you, right? Like it's just accept it and move on. Like, all right, you know, there's a core fan base that loves it. It's not for me, whatever.
Yeah, and props to From Software for pretty much giving them the middle finger and saying, yeah, if you don't like it, don't play our game.
Yeah.
You know, people are saying like, oh, I paid $60 for this game. It's like, well, yeah, you knew what you were getting into. From Software is a pretty big developer. You know, how do you not know about Dark Souls? You already know what you're getting into when you buy Elden Ring, when you buy any of these sorts of games.
Yeah, and like it's I feel like it, you know, that's also what makes it so like I don't know what you're gonna call it. I don't say prestigious, but like, you know, that's what makes it like impactful. Like when you beat the game, is like, oh yeah, I beat a Dark Souls game. Like it's very difficult, you know. Like its reputation, you know, precedes itself. It's like, yeah, you already know it's going to be a difficult game,
right?
You know,
and it doesn't even just stop there. Konami, you know, they're coming out with this Silent Hill 2 remake, which blows my mind. I understand it's the best game in the series, but you should have started with the first game, first of all. But not only that, they want to remake it and update this game to where it's not. They don't want it to be as scary. A horror game, not as scary.
where like it's literally known.
Yeah, right. Like, don't get me wrong.
Silent Hill
games are creepy as hell. I remember playing those games as a kid, and they creeped the hell out of me. I hated playing those games, but I loved playing those games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I was scared. I didn't want to play those games in the dark. I probably still couldn't play those games in the dark. That's probably a little far fetched, but you get what I'm saying. So I saw that, and yeah, I guess they don't want to make it. They don't want to make it scary, and I'm like, what's the point in making a horror game if it's not going to be scary?
Yeah, and again, like you said, it's like that's what Silent Hill is. You know what I mean? That's the whole point. Is it's supposed to be scary and creepy. Like I don't understand why if you don't like you said, if the game's not for you, don't play it.
Well, look at the traction that the PT demo, which is a Silent Hill demo called Silent Hills, that was supposed to have Norman Reedus in it. Look how much traction that got. No one knew what this was until you finished the demo. I was scared playing this game. There was a jump scare that made me stop playing it. But I still went back and I did go and finish it. And it blew my mind. And it was so rewarding when I got through it. I just, you know, the thing is, that was one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever had playing a video game. And it was just in that one demo. And a lot of people loved it. There's a reason why people love horror games for that. That PT demo. There's a reason why horror fans love Outlast or Amnesia,
Mhm.
Resident Evil, like, because those games were genuinely scary. Maybe not so much. Well, I don't want to say, I don't want to group Amnesia and Outlast into Resident Evil, but Resident Evil, in my opinion, hasn't been as scary
Mhm.
um, in recent years. I will say they did good with the recent 7 and 8. They did decent with
Mhm.
those. The problem that I mainly had with Resident Evil 7 was that they they seem to give it their all at the beginning, and so when you're playing the rest of the game, it's like, okay, like I'm kind of getting bored now because there's
Mhm.
nothing really scary outside of the opening 2 hours, you know.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal opinion. But
Mm.
I don't know. Have you played Outlast or any of those, Amnesia?
No. No. I mean, they look
Yeah,
scary. Like they do look creepy,
yeah.
which
I
makes it
couldn't.
fun.
I couldn't. Both Outlast and Amnesia, I couldn't. I couldn't even play more than an hour. There was a part. So I was talking to someone on the phone when I was playing Amnesia the one day,
Mm.
and it's like I'm into the game, but I'm kind of half paying attention to the conversation, and so I'm talking to this person on the phone, and I'm playing this game, and it wanted me to go through this one door, or no, there was like this huge hallway, and at the end of the hallway was this door. So I go over to the door, I try
Mhm.
to open it, and it's locked, and then I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna go find another room that maybe I need a key or whatever. I turn around and there's this monster that just like kind of jumps at me and then disappears. I was like, fuck. And so it gave me chills and I quit the game immediately. I was like, yeah.
You're just like, forget it. I'm done.
And it wasn't even that. The thing is, it was more or less a jump scare. Like the monsters aren't really that scary looking,
Mhm.
but it was just the fact that happened. I'm like, oh god. But what makes Outlast and Amnesia scary is the fact that you have nothing to defend yourself. Every time a monster shows up, you have to just hide. Like you
Oh.
can't do anything.
Mhm.
So that really adds to the fear factor of it. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
to kind of bring it back to my point. The point is, like, those games are popular for a reason because they are scary, but
Yeah.
making it less scary is going to turn a lot of people off. You know?
Yeah. And that's the thing, that it's like you said, like that's the like what it's marketed for. Like that's the fan base, is people who like horror games, and that's the
Exactly.
point. That'd be like saying, oh, well, I'm going to tone down, I don't know, the fighting in Mortal Kombat.
Mhm.
It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like that's kind of the whole point of the game. Is
Right.
people like fighting games. They're going to play games like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, whatever. If you were to tone that aspect of the game down, it's like, what's the point now? You know what I mean?
It's kind of funny that you bring that up.
Mm.
Um, so I can't remember the guy's name, the creative director, the guy behind these Mortal Kombat games. He was asked in an interview. I guess they did like some panel, like something like Comic Con, but not Comic Con.
Okay.
Or well, I think now that it's like every game developer has their own E3. I guess from what I understand, because E3 is no longer a thing because of a certain virus, but
It shall not be named.
that shall not be named. And so someone asked the head of NetherRealm Studios, like, "Hey, is there a lot of streamers are wanting to stream your game, but they keep getting demonetized on YouTube because it's too violent, because they can't do the fatalities because the fatalities are too violent." And they're like, "Oh, is there any way you can? Or do you have any plans to tone that down in this new Mortal Kombat game?" And to his credit, he was like, no, there are no plans. You know, he pretty much just said no. And but it's like, if you're getting demonetized on YouTube for playing a game, either uh, don't don't monetize your video, or don't play the game.
Yeah.
You know, like it sucks. I mean, that sucks, but you can't really. That's your choice. You don't have to do that. You know,
Yeah.
there are other games you can play. You can play fucking Batman. You can play Injustice. You know, if you want to play a fighting game, play Injustice or something.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's like, it's unfortunate if you can't stream these things. Yeah, that sucks. Oh, I want to stream it, but I can't. But I don't think that means that the game, the developer should change the game mechanic itself.
Right.
How the game works, where the core fans not only love it, but it kind of expect it at this point. I mean,
yeah, that's been a staple.
Fatalities aren't brutal. It's like that's part of Mortal Kombat. It's the fatalities,
Yeah, that's been a thing since the '90s when the first game came out.
Yeah,
and, it's so funny to me because we used to always mock those people way back then when these games were coming out, like, oh, they're too violent, they're gonna make kids violent and stuff like that. And now it's like these same people that were making fun of those people are wanting to tone down everything. Dead Space and Mortal Kombat want to be toned down now. Essentially, Dead Space was toned down. You have that option now.
Yeah,
like you know what you're getting into playing these games. There's no way you don't. Like, otherwise, why would you be playing it? Unless you think it's a trendy thing.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's like, oh, I hate wizards, so I'm gonna. I don't like wizards. I know nothing about Harry Potter, but I'm gonna play Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, can you tone down the magic? I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm very religious, and I don't like the idea that magic is in this world. So can you just not have it in the game?
Mm-hmm.
Can you censor it every time I cast a spell?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, I feel like, I don't know, back in the day when I was like a kid, I remember it was very much, I feel like people's mindsets in general were, if you didn't like something, like, then don't do it.
Yeah.
If there's a movie that you're like, this trailer, I don't like it, it's too scary, or it's too this, too that, I don't like the, I don't know, whatever, I don't like the language in it. They're like, don't watch it. Like, don't take your kids to it, don't whatever. But I feel like nowadays it's like, if you don't like something, it needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new mindset. It's like, I don't like it, so it has to change.
Yeah.
It's like, again, back in the day, it's like, just don't watch it.
Right.
If you don't like it, that's fine. It's not everything is for everyone. So
exactly. And it's just it actually kind of reminds me. You said something that kind of reminded me of. I don't know if you remember this, but when It Chapter 2 was coming out, there was just this plain white poster. It just had a plain white poster with like Pennywise's evil eyes just kind of like glaring at you. Mm-hmm. And that was at a movie theater that a woman took her kid to or something like that. And her son got scared of the It poster. And so she demanded that they take the poster down and change it so it's not as scary. And like their response was, well, that's the poster. We want it to be advertised as scary. So like just tell your kid. Everyone was saying like tell your kid not to look at the poster, like but that just it just shows how childlike they are. You know what I mean? They're very they're just children at this point. Like, oh, I don't like this and they need to change it because, I don't like it. No, they don't need to change it. You need to change your mindset or just don't fucking get into the game or movie or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried watching Star Trek. It's not like I can't get into it.
Yeah, I'd be like, it should be more like this. It's like, no, it's not for you.
Yeah, I want Star Trek to be more like Star Wars. Like, okay. I don't expect it to be.
Well, I used to make the joke. I was like, that's like going to McDonald's and expecting them to have salad. It's like, if you want to eat healthy, go somewhere else. But nowadays they do have salads.
Yeah.
Right.
Funny.
It's like, oh, I guess they did win in that regard.
Yeah, that's true. Well, everywhere, doesn't matter where you go, everywhere's got salads. But, when you think about like McDonald's and Burger King, I don't, maybe Burger King, I think Burger King might have salads. You would kind of think. I feel like anywhere, every fast
Mm,
food chain is required.
I
Well, I
suppose,
don't know if
yeah.
they are required to have salads, but try finding a fast food place or anywhere that doesn't have a salad. But,
Hmm.
you know, how healthy are their salads? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but even like I said, it's just like who goes to a McDonald's expecting to eat healthy? You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like that's when you go to a McDonald's, it's like, yeah, you should understand like this is McDonald's. It's
Hmm.
fast food. It's obviously
Yeah.
not good for you. It is what it is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Can I get a? Can I? I'll go to a fucking go to a pizza place, and you're lactose intolerant, so you get extra cheese on your pizza. Like
Yeah.
you're in for a rough time, buddy.
Hmm.
Like it just it blows my mind how these people's minds work, and I just don't understand it. And I think a lot of it is that everyone wants to be included, everyone wants to be in everyone else's business. It's
Hmm.
insane. It's just literal insanity.
I
um
know. Like I said, it's like sometimes it just don't fit. It's just
right.
not for you. That's fine. It happens, you know?
Yep. But I guess I don't really have a structure to this, if you couldn't tell. um
We're professionals.
yeah, we're very very much professionals. I do want to get into this Disney. Disney Disney is offering a deal, and let me pull this up. Disney is offering a deal to essentially they want to sell their Disney Plus service for $1.99 for 3 months right now. I don't know how much of this you've heard, but yeah,
A little.
don't miss. No thanks. Don't miss rare $1.99 Disney Plus deal as a part of its blockbuster September.
Man, they're making so much money that they're just giving away these good deals now.
Right. And what just came out? What just started airing on Disney Plus? It has something to do
Hmm.
with Star Wars, I believe, right?
Well,
Like
yeah, I mean,
please
it's the
watch
beloved character.
please watch our show Elemental. Please watch or our movie Elemental. Please watch the Little Mermaid live action remake. Please watch Ahsoka. We are so desperate at this fucking point. It, I just couldn't believe it.
Please.
But yeah, $1.99, and not to mention, what was it? Was it T-Mobile? Do you remember if it was T-Mobile or some? It was something where if you were a member, you got Disney Plus free for like a year.
Oh, yeah, I think one of those, yeah, I think if you had like an internet deal,
Yeah, like
like
Comcast or
something
something.
like that, yeah, you could get like certain streaming, like depending on which ones, I forget, but yeah, you get
Mhm.
like different, like one of them had a Disney Plus subscription.
Right,
Hmm.
and it's just funny to me because it's almost like they did that in the hopes that people would stay subscribed. But the problem is no one no one subscribed after the fact,
Yeah, no.
and it just kind of goes to show that they're hurting right now. You know, like, none of their stuff, nothing's making money. They're getting sued by everyone at this point. Like they've gotten sued
Yep.
because they were misleading. Their numbers were very misleading. So these shareholders are essentially losing money because of Disney. So now the shareholders are suing them.
Good. Well, no, I
Yeah.
thought everything was a success. I thought
Oh yeah.
everything was going great.
Everything is so successful, and
Yeah.
I, Disney can do no wrong. Bob Iger is the best.
Oh yeah, the best.
Which, by the way, apparently Bob Iger, when Bob Iger left Disney, and I think we already kind of knew this, but when Bob Iger left, he didn't actually leave. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did a little bit.
Yeah, so essentially he had his own office. Like, or well, no. So Bob Chapek stepped in. You know,
Mhm.
this was when things were going really bad for Disney. Um, Bob Chapek he stepped in and took over for a little bit, but Bob Iger never like Bob Iger didn't actually leave because he wanted to keep his like I don't know if it was a joke or not, but it was like a hot tub. He had like an office with a hot tub or something like that.
Mhm.
So they just fucking essentially they just put Bob Chapek into a broom closet while Bob
Well,
Iger was in his office just having a great time.
well, I
You
mean,
know?
his one job is to be a scapegoat, right? That's
Yeah.
pretty much what it was.
He was a fall guy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh man, everything's going bad. It was his problem. When it's like all these things started before him.
Yep. I couldn't believe that. I saw that and man, I was just losing it. Like how much you at what point do you just not respect yourself? You know? Like to get
Really?
that low, you just don't respect yourself now.
It's like, oh, yeah, you can have the nice big office. I'll just take this little chair over here. That's fine.
Yeah, let me just get in here. It's like when when that episode of the Office when I think it was when Jim came back to the office and um Ryan was complaining about his seating arrangements, so they just put him in a closet. They put his desk and computer and everything in a closet.
Yep.
You have all the privacy in the world. That was literally Bob Chapek.
Oh, yep.
Oh, poor guy. Oh, you almost feel bad for him. Like
Almost.
in all seriousness, like I kind of do feel bad for him, but there's no way he didn't know what he was getting into.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like you said, it's like how little self respect can you have
Yeah,
that you would take an arrangement like that, you know? So yeah, I
yeah,
don't feel bad. He knew.
yeah.
It's hilarious, but
It's hilarious, but it's kind of sad in a way because it's like,
Mhm.
man, like where? How do you get into that position where you're just the fall guy, where you're going to be the face of Disney's, you know, downfall essentially?
Yeah.
You know? And it's so funny because people were like, "Oh, Bob Iger's out, Chapek stepping in. He's gonna save everything. He's gonna fix Disney. Disney's gonna turn around. No more useless virtue signaling and all this other stuff." But it was the same stuff over again. And people were like, "Oh, I hate this guy. I can't stand him. He's worse than Bob Iger." And I'm just like, well, he's getting through a lot of Bob Iger's ideas, first and foremost. And
Mhm.
then people were like, I want Bob Iger back. Bob Iger needs to come back. And then he comes back, and everyone's like, yes, he's going to turn Disney around. JPEG is the worst. It was just a complete shift. I don't understand that.
Well, it's sad because like it worked perfectly for them. Like
Yeah.
because that's exactly what he wanted. He's like, all right, let the fans hate Chapek, and then I'll come back in
Right.
and be the
Excuse me.
good guy.
And it's so funny when Bob Iger was talking about. I was actually talking my family about it yesterday because we were going on this tangent about how Disney sucks, and I brought up this point to my dad. I was like, it's so funny to me because the Disney parks are not doing well at all. Universal's doing fine, right? But Bob Iger's excuse for why the Disney parks aren't doing well is because it's too hot outside. Because it's never been hot outside before. This just in Florida, it's a hot day in Florida. Like,
Wait a minute.
but even if that were the case, why is Universal always packed? Why are there always people coming and going through the wizarding world of Harry Potter? You know, like
Yeah.
it, it's just so funny to me. They're coping at this point. It's all just coping.
Oh
And
yeah.
they're just coming up with excuse after excuse for why things are the way that they are. And it's like, no, you guys just are out of touch.
Well,
That's
that's the
what it
thing.
is.
It's like the writing's on the wall. They're just being too stubborn to read it.
Mm-hmm. I think they know. It's just they don't want people to know that they know. You know,
Yeah. They don't want to accept accept they were wrong.
right? And it's just, oh god.
But hey, I don't have any sympathy for them.
No, I don't
They're
either.
like, not only did they ruin, a lot of these properties, but even like they were very, strategic slash manipulative with a lot of their, behind the scenes deals. I
Yep.
mean, it was it Bob Iger, right? He released like a biography about how
Oh
like he
yeah, an
acquired Star Wars.
autobiography.
Oh,
Yeah.
the autobiography, yeah, and he acquired Star Wars, right?
Yeah, and he was basically priding himself on essentially scrapping George Lucas's ideas.
Well, not even that, but he lied to George. Like he told him to his face, "Yeah, I'll make the movies, and I'll make the movie." And they even bought his treatments, right?
Yeah, like his scripts and all that.
Yeah, like his scripts for the sequel trilogy, and like, yeah, George will definitely adapt it. Absolutely.
Yep, they bought it off of him.
Yeah, you could trust us. And then
Yep.
they completely just scrapped it and did their own thing.
Yep.
And George even said, he's like, yeah, that's, he's like, I guess I should have known
Yep.
that they wouldn't have stuck to their word.
He's like, yeah, it's out of my hands now.
Mm-hmm.
Which, have you ever watched that video? I feel like you may have showed me the video, but I don't remember. But there was a video. I just came across it again today. It made me really sad. Uh, George Lucas, he was getting. You had like some people taking pictures, asking for autographs, and George Lucas gets out of this car, and he's got guys around him, kind of helping him out of the car and everything, and he's moving really slow, and they're kind of helping him and guiding him.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude is just like, don't overwhelm him, don't overwhelm him. We had a deal and all this other stuff, and it looked like he was having trouble getting up the stairs, and that man,
Oh man.
yeah, that man's he's getting up there.
Yeah.
So
I guess I get it, but yeah.
I hate to say it, especially when I said the same thing about Stan Lee all those years ago. I don't think he's got much more time,
Yeah.
because I remember saying that about Stan Lee, and a few weeks later, I was like, man. So I hope not. I mean, George Lucas, he's definitely an icon. I mean, say what you want about the prequels, he made Star Wars, and it's just sad to see him like that. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about his personal life, obviously, but just he lived a good life. I mean, you know what I mean. He accomplished a lot. I mean,
Yep.
Star Wars is like one of the, I mean, it might be the biggest IP I think in the world. I mean, before Disney.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think you know what I mean. So, I mean, you got his work affected. I mean, at this point, billions of people.
Yep. Yeah, and it's just so funny because I love that. I love that story where he went on vacation. He didn't even go to the premiere of the original Star Wars because he thought it was going to be such a failure. Him and
Yep.
Steven Spielberg, and then of course they came up with Indiana Jones while they were on vacation during the premiere of Star Wars, and then they come back and it's like, yeah, this was a huge success. It's like, what? So they ended up making another one, and that it became a huge thing.
Yeah, and it's always funny looking at old footage of like behind the scenes where the actors are just like laughing at some of the goofiness of it.
Yeah.
It's like, what, the space wizards? What is this? It's just funny. It's so obscure. It turns out to be, and like I said, impacted so many people, influenced so many works, creative works beyond just movies. And yeah, I mean, Star Wars.
Right.
It's
And
funny.
I just wish Harrison Ford respected the movies a lot more. I wish he had more respect for
Mm,
Star Wars. Um, he's funny. Like I think how he acts towards any Star Wars questions, like I think it's funny. But
mhm.
at the same time, I do wish he would just be more. Uh, I just wish he respected it more. He doesn't have to
Yeah.
like it, but he should at least respect it because I mean, at the end of the day, maybe that wasn't his big breakthrough, but he is well known for that character. You
Yeah,
know.
I mean, arguably, I mean, Indiana Jones is obviously up there too, but like
Yeah.
arguably, I mean, Han Solo, I mean, I think is one of the biggest names of all entertainment, like any
Yep.
character. I mean, like I said, there's only a few that are really above him, one of them being Darth Vader, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's always like, what's he more known for, Indiana Jones or Star Wars?
Yeah.
It's really. I feel like that's the big debate.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I just clearly like the only reason he came back was for a paycheck and for the fact that well, he did say that the only reason he would come back is if they killed Han Solo, which that sucks. You know.
Yeah. I mean, if it fits the story, that's fine, but
Mhm.
yeah.
But it didn't fit the story at all. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Well, that's what's also sad about the sequels. I mean, we can go on and on about the sequel trilogy, but
Mhm.
even that too, like George was the one who reached out to the big three, Mark Hamill and whatever, and
Yep.
like he was the one who got them to come back.
Yep.
And like I said, and then Bob Iger is just like, we'll do whatever.
Yep. So I do wanna show this little video. Um,
Hmm.
kind of unrelated, but Mads Mikkelsen. Well, I don't want to say it is kind of unrelated, but we were kind of talking about like that the diversity thing and like how everything needs to be changed specifically for diversity and stuff like
Hmm.
that. This will kind of segue into our next topic anyway, so it is what it is. But Mads Mikkelsen, you know, I think he's a great actor. I think he's really good. He was probably the best part in like the two scenes that he was in fucking Rogue One. Not that Rogue One's a good movie or anything, but
Right.
he was a really good Bond villain in Casino Royale. Um, but he's doing this new movie. I think it's called what is it? Land of something. The Promised Land. I think it's the Promised Land. And
Yeah.
basically, they were at this panel, and um, they were asked about the diversity in the movie, because apparently there was someone who was just concerned about the lack of diversity in the film.
Hmm.
So I kind of want to get through his reaction, his initial reaction. But well, him and the director, Nikolai Arcel. I, I love their reactions. I loved what the director said. It was really funny, and the fact that he just laughed, the fact that Mads Mikkelsen just kind of laughed at him. I don't want to say he laughed at him, but he laughed at the idea of the question. See, it's just so funny. So here we go.
Hello, I'm from Denmark, and it's a pleasure to be here. So you're a little bit into it. This is a cast and Danish production, which is entirely Nordic. It therefore
I don't
has
know
a
if you
lack
can
of.
hear that well. He's basically asking about the diversity, and it's a little hard to hear him. So
Of diversity, you would say, as also new rules are implied in
What
Hollywood.
are you on to?
Sorry, but
From the
it's
get-go.
from the get-go. There is set some rules of diversity in across the Atlantic for competing in the best picture, the equivalent to this competition. As I see it, you don't live up to these standards with this broadcast, and there is just curious. It's not because of artistic reasons; it's because of lack of diversity. that this can compete in that competition. Are you worried about that?
Are you? And
Me?
I'm serious and honest because
I'm-
you're putting us on the spot. So
Yeah,
you
sure.
answer the
No,
question.
because I have in comparison Parasite, which is a great
What do you
movie.
think?
But I was thinking that Parasite, which is a great movie coming from South Korea, had the same level of diversity. But coming from South Korea, this was actually still eligible for the competition. You, as a Danish movie with an all Nordic cast, is not. And that's what I think is a little bit conundrum.
I don't understand the question.
Okay.
Well, first of all, the film takes place in Denmark in the 1750s.
Yeah.
We do have a big plot line, about a girl of color who is being subjected to racism,
Okay.
and and which was very rare. Any people of color in Denmark in
Yes.
70, almost nobody. She was probably at the time the only one in the entire country of Denmark. So it was. I would say that it hasn't been. It wasn't a thought in our mind that I think it would be a little weird. If it's just a historical
Exactly.
how it was in the
That's,
1750s.
that's also what I was portraying for.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you could really hear that too well, considering it is pretty low. I honestly didn't realize it was going to be that low. But basically, the guy was asking, hey, there's a lack of diversity. Are you worried about, the lack of diversity in this movie? Like what, and Mads Mikkelsen's just like, are you? Like he's basically, they were defending the movie, and they're also saying that this takes place in Denmark in the 1970s, I think he said. I don't know anything about this movie, but and he said that she's this woman, she's the only woman of color probably in that time, and especially in Denmark, and essentially this guy asking the question, he wanted to bring up Parasite. I don't know if you remember Parasite or if you've ever heard of it, but it was a horror movie. It was a horror movie
Parasite.
that was it was primarily Japanese. I might be getting that wrong. But it was all Asian cast. I don't think there was any diversity other than that. But basically saying, they were very, very diverse. But the thing is, their idea of what I take away from him asking these questions and comparing Parasite to this is, their idea of diversity is just having no white people in their movies, essentially.
Yeah, like you said, a Parasite is at all. I just looked it up. It's like, I think Korea. It said South Korea.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. South Korean.
So if it's a Korean film with basically all the cast being Korean, it's just like, it's not really diverse.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like the literal definition of diversity, obviously is like not everyone should be the same.
Right. Yeah.
Which is fine. Again, some movies, depending on the subject matter, absolutely should be all white or all Korean. Like it depends on where the time period it's like time period it's on, and location, and you know what I mean. It's just try to be historically accurate.
Right. I always love when people use the argument of, oh well, it's fantasy setting. They'll use it with fantasy a lot, where they'll say it's a fantasy setting. It doesn't matter if it's historically accurate or not, because it's a fantasy. You can make it whatever. If it's a fantasy movie or video game or book or whatever, you can make it whatever you want. Okay? Well, they did. They made it so it would be historically accurate. It's a fantasy, so why does it bother you so much? If it's a fantasy, if someone wants to have all white people, all men, or all females in a fantasy setting, well, then guess what? That's what they should be able to do
Mm-hmm.
because it's a fantasy setting, correct? That's what you're telling me. You know, I never understood that argument. You know, it's a fantasy, or oh, it's just this. It's just diversity. It doesn't matter. It's just a video game. It's just a movie. It's always just a something to these people. But the problem is they make it to where it's almost indoctrinating. You know, especially kids. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A lot of kids are playing video games. A lot of kids are watching movies. You know, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing inherently wrong with diversity. But when that is your point, when you create a character, where the only thing about them that you can tell us is that they are a diverse character, that they are a person of color, that they are gay, bisexual, whatever, then
Yeah,
they're
it's not
just
really
a
a
boring
character then,
character.
is
There's
it?
nothing about them. Then the
Mhm.
only reason they were there is to essentially just sell your movie. They were
Yeah.
used there because you wanted to fill a quota.
Yeah, it sounds nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and like you said, it's like sometimes, I see like the point you made. It's like people say like, "Oh, it's just a fantasy. It doesn't have to be historically accurate." And it's like, well, I mean, you're right, but if it's a fantasy, then it can be historically accurate. You know what I mean? Like the whole point is like it can or it doesn't, it's whatever the creator wants it to be.
Right.
So if the creator just wants it to be historically accurate, then what's wrong with that?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I just lost my point. I lost my train of thought. But no, I mean, the thing is, you can't. The pendulum swings both ways. Essentially,
Mm.
you can't tell someone who is creating a fantasy world, well, you need to have diversity, because even though it's based on this, even though it's based on this historical event, or if it's a fantasy, well, you can have people of color in these movies, you can have women in these situations. But if it's a fantasy, I shouldn't have to do that. You're right. So your
Yeah.
point, by saying that, your point is invalid at that point, because it's a fantasy. I can make it however I want. You literally just told me I could. So why do you have a problem with what I did? You know what I mean?
And it's always like forced too. It's like, I don't like, why can't it just, it sounds funny, but like I remember like watching Black Panther, right, where Wakanda is like set in Africa,
Yeah.
right, and like that's fine. It's fine that like a majority of the cast is is African American, right? Like or maybe just African. I don't know what the literal where they're actually from, but you know what I mean. That's fine, African American. Like I don't see that as a problem because I understand where this movie takes place, and you know what I mean. I understand. Okay, this is predominantly going to take place in Africa, and this is where like Wakanda is based in. This is what their culture is, and I'm totally fine with that. I don't have to. I don't think it has to be diverse. I don't need to see Asian. I don't need to see Asian people, or I don't need to see a white people. I don't need to see. The movie was fine because it's set in a location where the population matches. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a fantasy. They can make it however they want, and I think
Yes.
I think they need to have more white people in Black Panther.
Well, Ryan Reynolds should be the next Black Panther.
Yes, I would like Ryan Reynolds to be the next. He can do. He's got range. He doesn't show it anymore, but he's got range.
That's true. That's true. He can do a lot more
I
than just
feel like he
Deadpool.
can pull off. He can pull off an accent. I'd love. Oh my god, I would love that if he just did an accent where he was playing as Black Panther.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I can just imagine the backlash.
Oh shit! But
yeah, no.
while we're on the subject of diversity, and this is mainly because I don't want to talk about Ahsoka. Well, I mean, so Ahsoka wasn't that bad, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But while we're on the subject of diversity, how much? I mean, Friday Night Tights, Nerdrotic, all them.
Yep, big fan.
Yep. Heels versus Babyface.
Yep, as.
Yeah. So, how much do you know about what happened to him this week?
Very little. I saw, like I've seen. I didn't actually watch the actual videos, but I've seen videos come up on my feed reacting to the situation. Like I think, what's her name? Is it Melanie?
Melanie Mack?
Melanie Mack. Yeah, like she did like a reaction to it, and
I didn't see that.
Yeah, like I didn't actually watch the videos yet, but I just seen like the titles of them are reacting to this Starfield situation.
Yeah. So essentially, Bethesda came out with a new game called Starfield. I honestly know nothing about this game, but I guess he was playing a couple hours. He put a couple hours into the game, and from what I understand, he was already kind of annoyed with the idea that they had you. I guess you don't have to pick pronouns, but there's an option where you can pick your pronouns when creating your character.
Okay.
So you can have he, him, she, her, they, them, Zer, or whatever. All this stupid shit. So he's playing through this game, and he comes across an NPC. And the video I have pulled up, I'm not sure if it's included in here, but I did see him. I did see what happened that made him break down, that made him, furious. Basically, he comes across this character, this NPC, a female, and she basically was just like, yeah, I have a confession to make. I've been holding this in for a long time, and I'm sorry for holding this back, and basically setting it up. They're already setting it up like it's supposed to be this coming out sort of story that she's coming up with. But she's like, I'm actually the clone. I'm actually a clone of this man who was, this like general or whatever the hell her story was. But she's basically a clone of a man. But the way she was talking to his character was that she was coming out as trans, essentially. That's what I was getting from it. And I'm sure clearly he was kind of feeling the same way. Just a lot louder about it. So before I play the video, I just want to make the point that there are certain Dan Vask actually said it best. There are certain thresholds to what people can handle, right? So after a point when you especially when you put a few hours into a game that you have no idea that there's going to be any diversity, or there's going to be any sort of diversity quota, I should say, in a game where they have to push an agenda into your game or movie or whatever it may be. After a while, you kind of get annoyed. And you don't really watch side scrollers, right? You don't really watch them.
No, not really.
Okay. So this kind of feeds into another video that I'll play after this one. But Craig from Side Scrollers, he actually brought up a really good point in one of his live streams, basically saying, if you were just sitting at home enjoying your day, like eating lunch, watching TV, whatever it is you're doing, you get a knock at the door, and it's a Mormon, a Mormon saying like, "Hey, would you like to talk about, the word of Christ?" No thanks, I'm busy or whatever. No thanks, I'm not interested. He's like, okay, and he leaves, and you close the door, go back. 10 minutes later, you get another knock on the door. It's that same person saying like, "Hey, would you like to talk about the word of Christ?" No, thanks. I'm in the middle of something. Close the door. He leaves. Then 15 minutes later comes back, knocks on your door again. Like, "Hey, would you like to talk about the word of Christ?" Well, after a while, and his point is, after a while, that gets annoying, right? I feel like anyone would get annoyed by that. And I would like to caveat off of that before we get into this. I treat these people like this whole pronouns thing. God, I really wasn't trying to get too political about this, but this whole pronouns thing, it's like a religion to them,
Yeah.
more so. So imagine if that same Mormon came back a fourth time. Why don't you want to talk about the word of Christ? Well, I just don't. It's not my thing. I don't believe in it. Whatever it may be. Like I just don't have time, or I don't. I don't believe in that. If you tell them you don't believe in that, well, what happens? And I'd like to ask anyone who is, who genuinely wants to defend these pronoun and bio people. I would love to ask them, what if that same Mormon started going up and down the street, going on social media, doxing you, and saying that you're a sinner, calling your place of work, finding out where you work, calling your place of work, and saying, "Hey, this person's a sinner and they need to be fired." And then because your boss is a very religious person, they fire you for that. How would that make you feel? It would kind of piss you off, right?
Yeah.
You would kind of feel threatened. You'd feel like you weren't safe, right?
Yeah.
Kind of what these people are doing, essentially. So before you start, going after people who are religious or whatever, think about that. Think about what you do. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. And go ahead. Do you have anything to say?
Well, I was just going to add that, like, I think it goes back to what we said earlier, where it's like, if something's not for you, like, that's fine. It's not for you. Like going back to that religion, like, argument, like, yeah, there's, like, if you're religious, there's places you can go, church and, whatever, where you can meet like-minded people and you guys can, discuss, your views, and you can feel like you belong. Not everyone is going to feel like they belong in that specific church because, again, people have different opinions and views on things, So I feel like it's the same thing when it comes to, this whole pronouns and stuff, is that it's like, some people are going to feel like they belong in that community, and that's fine, but some people don't. Like, just like we shouldn't force religion on people, we shouldn't force that on people. You know what I mean? And that's my biggest thing, is the forcing, like the analogy you just said, where it's like, if a Mormon comes to your door and says, "Hey, do you want to hear about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ?" And you're like, "No, thanks." And he leaves. It's like, okay, you had the option to say, "No, I want to just, no, thanks. I want to live my life," But it's like, imagine if he now, like, forces his way into your home, and now everything on TV has to fit his narrative, and everything that everything you read, everything you play, everything is, what he wants and not necessarily what you want. It's like you start to feel, I don't know, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like pushed down.
Like an outsider, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my thing. It's like, don't force any opinions on people.
Right.
I think we should be able to just form our own opinions on things and just live our lives,
Right. And, don't threaten people, don't just what you said, don't ruin people's lives just because, they think a certain way. That's the real shitty thing. I mean, a lot of us are frustrated by that. A lot of us get angry, and in the video we're about to see, we're gonna see him, and I you can tell. Just I read the title, and you can tell, whoever clipped it and put it on their YouTube channel clearly isn't a fan of this guy. And I do want to say I kind of get the idea of, like, okay, if you don't know who this guy is, yeah, maybe he's overreacting, but as someone who knows him pretty well, not personally, of course, but has watched a lot of his content. He's not a terrible person. He's not overreacting. He's actually been pretty chill about this stuff up until now. It just frustrated him. Just like a lot of us get frustrated, with stupid stuff. We always have that coworker that it's like, okay, you keep messing up, but like, all right, and after a while, after that fifth or sixth time, then it gets to be annoying. And then you start getting a little rude, maybe more than you should. But at the end of the day, it's just how much can you really take? And I think this was kind of his breaking point. This was kind of him just going like, okay, I'm annoyed with seeing this stuff now. I wanted to get immersed in this world, and I can't do that because they keep shoving all this ideology down my throat.
Yeah. And sorry, just last thing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, just last thing is I didn't watch this video yet, so I don't know necessarily what he says and all, but if people who aren't a fan of him, like, he does tend to yell and scream about things too. Like, just in general, like, it's not even just this, like, you know what I mean? There's plenty of times where he'll, I can't even give an example, but he'll talk about something, I don't know, Star Wars, and he'll just be like, why'd they do this? And like, it has nothing to do with politics. It's just some silly little plot hole, like he's just very expressive. You know what I mean? So
exactly. But yeah, we'll go ahead and I think this is about a 2-minute video. So.
Oh, thank God. 2 minutes without you.
I'll still talk. Just for that, I'll keep pausing and starting back up. Okay. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. Is that up for you?
It's still loading.
Okay. I'll wait a little bit.
All right, yeah, we're good now.
Okay. So yeah, has meltdown on camera in response to video game Starfield. I don't necessarily like the term meltdown. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but it is what it is. But yeah, here we go.
I just want to say something to you, Bethesda. Just want to say a little something. There is nothing I love more. Taking my headphones off. Fuck that. Bethesda. There is nothing I love more than to sit down, comfy chair, turn on my PC, fire up a brand new RPG, lose myself, think, oh my God, just think of this world. Just think of all the planets I can visit, all the immersive things that I can get involved with, all the fights, all the relationships, all the people I meet, all the places I go. I'm so excited to go there. And I love nothing more than, with all of that laid out in front of me, I love nothing more than to be dragged out at every fucking conceivable opportunity so you can fucking current day us. Sorry, did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Fucking pronouns! Fucking gender ambiguity! Fucking current day Californian shit! Because that's all we fucking know! Because we're boring! We're so fucking boring! We can't see past.
So I do want to say he says it right there pretty well. It's boring. At the end of the day, it is very boring.
And it is true. It is hard to like I didn't play the game, but it is hard, like with other games and stuff, to try to get immersed into it when you keep being reminded of like the real world,
right.
And real world problems and things. It's like, oh my God, I want to get back to like the fantasy. I want to actually like feel like I'm in this world. You know what I mean?
And that's another thing, they want to talk about, we want the Lord of the Rings to reflect the world today. Well, that's not supposed to be in our world. That's in a different time period even, it's not supposed to be here. I don't want to feel that way. And I don't know anything about this Starfield game. I'm assuming it's like a futuristic game. So why are they shoving all this current day stuff into our futuristic fantasy setting? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's like if it was marketed to have these this subject matter, like we said before, like if it's funny, but like if something is rated M, then like you're gonna expect some kind of graphic, or just mature themes,
Yep.
whether it's graphic material or certain language with certain words they use. So you kind of know what you're getting into in a sense.
Yeah.
But like with this game, it's like, if they marketed it to say like, hey, this is the kind of subject matter we want to, discuss, or, this is the kind of topics we want to get into, like, that's fine. That I'm sure there's a community for that. There's an audience who would love to get into that, but that's not for him. So it's like, if you marketed it like that and just said up front, this is what we're getting into, then there'd be no problem. He would just say, oh, okay, not for me,
Exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. If they market it that way, that's fine. But there's a reason why they don't market it that way. There's a reason why they don't tell us what's in their game until after we buy it. Like when we buy a product, well, now we have to go through the trouble of getting it refunded. If we don't if it bothers us that much, now we have to get it refunded. But that's kind of the point. Like, we're still paying to play this game, and we don't even know what we're getting because they're not telling us what we're actually getting.
Yeah, I don't even know, I've never tried it, I guess, but I don't even know if you could get a refund if you don't like it, because that, like you can get a refund if it doesn't work. Like, that obviously makes sense. But like, just because if you don't like it, I don't know if you could, that's like going to a movie and being like, I didn't like the ending, I want a refund. It's like, you can't really do that, right? That's not.
Actually, you can.
Can you really?
Yeah, you can. I've never tried it, but I've heard people say, like, yeah, you can definitely get a refund if you don't like the movie.
Every Disney movie now, I'm like, hey, man, I want a refund.
Yep. Nah, they'd have to refund me for the gas that I wasted getting there. But, the thing is, they're not advertising it. And like you said, if they advertise it for those people in mind that are concerned about pronouns in their bios and all that stuff, all concerned about the current day shit, then market it for them. Don't market it for people like Az here, who's just tired of it, just doesn't want it shoved in. Just make a fantasy setting where it doesn't have to be accurate to history. We've already established that, but if they want to, that's fine. But don't politicize your game. And don't get mad at people for getting upset that you're politicizing a game, when that's not the whole point of the story. The thing is, you shove it into the story, then we're going to be annoyed. So,
yeah.
But let's continue.
That's our own fucking reflection. That's the level of our narcissism here at Bethesda Western Game Company. Fuck your immersion. Fuck you having a good time. Fuck you falling into a world and just getting lost. No, no, no. Current fucking day. Fuck off. You're boring. You're fucking dull. You have nothing to say. You are a one-hived mind twat waffle. That's all you fucking are. And you wonder why people are getting so fucking sick and tired. You take everything we love, all our immersions, all our fantasies, all our escapism, and you just can't help shovel your dog shit, fucking crap ideology into everything, every single solitary fucking thing.
So that's pretty much it. From
Waffle.
what I understand, he did go back to play the game. Um, I personally, if I got that upset about it, I probably would have just stopped playing. You know, if he was streaming it, I would just get back into. I would just start playing something else. But yeah,
Well, that's what I was trying to say earlier. Is like that's kind of his thing. You know, that's like the content he makes. Is he tends to blow up about stuff. You know, like when he was
Yeah.
playing Gollum, he's I don't know if he was playing Gollum, but he'd be able to like blow up about something in the game or like that's just kind of who he is. Like I don't know if I would use the term meltdown because meltdown to me
yeah, I
seems
don't like that word.
that seems like it's like a I don't know, like an isolated incident. They lost their cool, but it's kind of different because here, like that is his content, like he
Mhm.
I mean, it's not always yelling, obviously, but I'm just saying like that he's very expressive. That's not the first time that he's, he would like yell about something,
And it's the idea that I mean, it's something that he was really looking forward to. Imagine having something like that where you're looking forward to this game, you're looking forward to this movie, whatever, and they decide to throw in something that it's like, listen, I get this everywhere. I get this in my shows, my movies, my books, video games already. Why is it this one thing that I was so looking forward to? Why do they have to do the same thing? And the point is, they're not advertising it. They're not letting you know. They could have easily been like, maybe not in the trailers, but they could have at least been like, yeah, we want to be inclusive. We're including the pronouns as an option in this game. They didn't tell you that. They don't tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell you that there was going to be this like kind of coming out, symbolism, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell you any of that. So it is very frustrating to see.
And it's just very like deceptive and manipulative,
Yep.
Like it's not necessarily the same, obviously, but it reminds me almost like The Last of Us 2, where it's like not so much the politics, but it's just like it was marketed a very specific way of like, oh, Joel's gonna, well, spoiler alert, like Joel's gonna be in it and Ellie, and oh, this will be fun. This is a sequel to the first game. I wonder what's gonna happen. Like they kind of built it up to have Joel be a bigger deal than he actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the fact that they replaced a character in a specific scene of the game to have Joel in it to say that same exact line, and it was clearly supposed to be an older Joel, so it was supposed to be the Joel from the sequel essentially. Mm-hmm. But when you play the game, it's this random nobody character that you just meet at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like a little bit of teasing is fine, but when you're just completely, deceptive on what the game is about, I think that's false advertising at that point,
Yep. And I think it makes like that whole incident in particular makes it worse because people were theorizing. People were like, "Oh, Joel's probably going to die at the beginning," and so they came out with this second trailer where it's like, "No, Joel's in the game," and that just wasn't the case. So,
yeah.
But there was a response to this video from a popular game director, David Jaffe. I guess he has his own YouTube channel. I don't know, but he he responded to Az's video, basically telling you his stance on things, and he brought he brought up Craig from Side Scrollers, essentially calling him a bully for his analogy or metaphor, whatever you want to call it, about the whole, the Mormon knocking on your door. So he called him a bully over this. So, I mean, this is the video here. Shoot, I forgot to share my screen. But essentially, he came out with this video, and he's the game director for God of War. He had some things to say, particularly about Az and about Craig from Side Scrollers, and it kind of bothered me considering he called him a bully. He called Craig a bully for him basically saying like, yeah, this would get annoying. So,
Mm-hmm.
do you have anything to say before we start this?
No, I was trying to think. I was like, I feel like I had something, but no, I don't think so.
Okay. We'll get into this. This is a 10-minute video. So
I've been playing a ton of Starfield. Absolutely loving this game. I
can you hear
checked
that
out
pretty
some-
well? Is that-
Yeah, it's a little low, but I mean,
Yeah.
I can hear it.
Yeah, I think it's his mic, but yeah, just have to turn it up, I guess. I don't know.
discourse online of these folks who are upset that the game offers pronouns. I just wanted to speak to that very briefly because there's this one guy, like a lot of them are grifters, right? A lot of them are just like, oh, make money, whatever, dude, go fuck up society and make your ducats, whatever. Capitalism sucks, at least the way we have now, and I get it. I don't appreciate it, I don't condone it, but I get it. But there are those that are serious. There's this one guy, I don't know his show. I know he has like a Super Nintendo logo. He did a pretty good interview with Colin Moriarty, my buddy, a couple of weeks ago, which I enjoyed. But
so right there, when he was talking about the Nintendo logo, that's him referencing Craig from Side Scrollers. So he's going to go into that.
But he put this video out about pronouns. This is not the guy who was shouting and looks like a thumb, although I look like a thumb too, but fuck you. He was just kind of going, I think I know his comparison was, he's like, hey, because he lives, I guess, in a place where there's lots of Mormons coming to your door. And he's like, well, what if the Mormons came to your door and said, let us proselytize? And it's like, no, thanks, goodbye. And they leave, and 5 minutes later they come back, and it's like, no thanks, goodbye. And they come back again 10 minutes later, and it's like, oh my fucking God, stop shoving this down my throat, kind of thing. That's the idea. And he's like, it's the same thing, see? And it's like, first off, just very briefly, no, it's not the same thing. You didn't pay for the Mormons to come to your door and then complain about it. Right? That's you didn't get a review going. The Mormons.
So I kind of want to stop it there. He says it's not the same thing, that you're not paying for that stuff to get shoved down your throat. So doesn't that make it worse if you are paying to get that stuff shoved down your throat?
Well, I thought he said if you're getting paid, like you're getting paid.
What do you mean?
Well, like he's saying it's different because in the analogy, it's like you're getting paid for the Mormon to come to your door and complain about it.
No. He's saying his idea was he's like, he's like, that's not the same thing because you're not paying for the Mormons to come to your door.
Okay, I thought I said paid. Like I thought he meant you were getting paid.
Oh no!
Like
no.
He's getting paid to make a review. That's okay.
Yeah, no. So his argument is you're not paying for the Mormons to come to your door, but isn't that even worse when you do pay someone, right?
Yeah, like if I'm paying you for X and you give me Y, isn't that literally like isn't that worse?
Right. So, yeah. I just found that hilarious that he would even say that. But let's continue.
To your door, and he's like, well, what if the Mormons came to your door and said, let us proselytize? And it's like, no thanks, goodbye. And they leave, and 5 minutes later they come back, and it's like, no thanks, goodbye. And they come back again 10 minutes later, and it's like, oh my fucking God, stop shoving this down my throat kind of thing. That's the idea. And he's like, it's the same thing, see? And it's like, first off, just very briefly, no, it's not the same thing. You didn't pay for the Mormons to come to your door and then complain about it, right? That's you didn't get a review going. The Mormons will bug you a lot. I don't know if they will. Whenever they came to my door, I would always invite them in and say, yeah, I don't believe in the God you believe in, or any God probably, but let's talk. And we'd talk for 30 minutes and they would just leave kind of like shocked. I don't know if they were more shocked that I invited them in or just that I had made them question their whole life path. But regardless, his take on it was, they're like the Mormons. And I'm like, no, because you didn't pay for the Mormons to bug you or anything. They just came and, you actually went out of your way to install Starfield, to buy Starfield or Game Pass, and that's on you. Okay. And you could have read the review.
By the way, you can let me know if you want to talk about something. We'll pause the video. So if there's something you want to say, just let me know and I'll pause it.
User before you did it. Okay. So his analogy is not very good, but beyond that, there's an arrogance there because somebody in his Twitter feed was talking to him about, why are you so upset? Or I forget the question that prompted his response, but his response was, they're taking away our games. There was this sense of entitlement and ownership. It's like these are ours and they're taking them away. And I'm like, that is so arrogant and so entitled. I'm like, they're not yours. These are.
Isn't it a little arrogant for him to say, like, oh yeah, I invited these Mormons into my house and had a conversation for 30 minutes and I left them speechless, probably because I made them question their faith.
Yeah,
Isn't that
kind of a backhanded? Yeah.
Right.
Basically talking down on what they believe in a sense. Because it's almost sounds like almost saying like, yeah, I exposed the stupidity of what you believe in. It's kind of what he's saying there.
Right. Like essentially like I made them feel stupid. I proved them wrong about their faith. That's a little arrogant to me, maybe a little pretentious. Don't you think, asshole?
Yeah. It's also funny too how he said like, oh, well, you paid for it and you knew what you were getting. You could have read the reviews. And it's like, but reviews don't really tell you that.
No, they don't.
You know what I mean?
Secondly, exactly. They really don't.
And like, secondly, is that like, critic reviews, sure, but like audience reviews, it's like you have to play the game first.
Right.
Like that's such a backwards way of thinking. It's like, well, other people wasted their money, so you shouldn't waste yours. It's like, or just market the game so no one wastes money.
Also, Az is a content creator. He gives his opinions about stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, if anything, he is the reviewer that we want to listen to. Yeah. He's putting his money. He's wasting his money on this stuff. Now, whether or not I don't know if he got a refund. I don't know. I don't know what happened after his rant. I know that he went back to playing the game. I don't know for how long. I don't know, but from what I understand, this was like a couple hours into the game. So yeah, of course I'm good. Of course he would get upset. I would be upset too.
And again, reviews don't tell you that,
right?
And like you just said, he is a kind of a reviewer. Like he's a content creator,
right?
With thousands or however many subscribers. So
he literally played the entire, even though he hated it. He just uploaded the entirety of his playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2. And he hated every second of doing that.
Didn't he review like the CW shows? The DC
he did.
CW shows?
I think he reviewed Batwoman. What else did he do? He did another one. I think Supergirl, maybe. He's done a lot. He's a masochist. I mean, he's doing it for content, of course.
Like us watching Ahsoka,
right? Yeah, pretty much. Oh God, we haven't talked about that yet. Oh God, but anything else you want to add?
No, just like I said, the reviews don't like that's a silly argument. The reviews don't say that, you know.
Right.
Products people make, and they hope a lot of people will play them. And sometimes maybe there is a go woke, go broke scenario that occurs, and a lot of times there's not. Where you can go woke and still make a lot of money. Barbie's a pretty woke fucking movie. Most successful movie in the history of Warner Brothers, more than Harry Potter, more than Batman. So I don't know what to tell you. But sure, whatever. But it's your choice, and I respect that if you don't want to, be around that. But you aren't entitled to these games. And the funny part or the tragic part is that art and creativity, look, the it's usually made by people who are not conservative minds. And I don't mean this disrespectfully when I say conservative. Conservatives have more rigid thinking. That's the definition of what a conservative is. They like things the way they were. They don't like a lot of change. They like, a sense of order, and they don't like to mentally put themselves in other people's shoes. They know what they like. They don't go outside the.
Yet again, that is another arrogant way of speaking. Saying that, they don't like to be put in other people's shoes.
Just kind of assuming about a whole demographic of people.
Right. But don't worry. It gets worse. He goes off the deep end in this video.
He also said a lot of weird things too. Like even just he's like, "Oh, Barbie's a woke movie and that's successful."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, I mean, to be fair, is that
no one knew it was woke? They didn't advertise it that way, did they?
Well, yeah, that. But it's like, did they also like? What about inflation? Do they take that into account?
Right.
Because I mean, if movie tickets are like, I mean, I don't know on average at least like what $3, $4, $5 more than they were when like Harry Potter came out. So I mean, that I don't think is fair,
Right.
Plus, Barbie's weird. Barbie, has all the fucking feet shots.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to Barbie myself, so that says a lot about you. But no,
I rewound it a couple times.
Right. But yeah, his whole Barbie argument. I mean, whatever. It was a woke movie, and no one they didn't advertise it as a woke movie.
It's also Barbie. Like,
right.
I remember like as a kid, like my little cousins would, had Barbies. Barbie's a very old
right.
IP. So of course it's going to be successful.
Yep. So, but don't worry. You say he said some weird stuff. Just you wait. It gets weirder. It sure gets weirder.
The fence all that much, blah blah blah. That's a definition of a conservative. Like literally, they are a conservative. They want to conserve the way things are, and that's great. But you're not going to get a lot of artists and theater kids and geeks and out of the box thinkers, and those are the people that tend to make creative entertainment. They just are. And there are some conservative entertainment creators, and there are certainly some conservative creators in the world of video games. Go play those, right? Fox News made a shit ton of money by, recognizing there's this spot. I think they've done a lot of damage, but recognizing there's this spot of super right-wing folks, or even just middle of the road conservatives that are like, we want media.
Except Fox News has kind of gone off the deep end too.
Yeah, Fox News has gotten like that to me is like a false it's labeled as like a right-wing show or a right-wing whatever. It's like, not really.
It used to be a right-wing news station, but they've gone woke. They've literally gone woke.
Yeah, I mean, didn't they get rid of what's his name? Tucker Carlson? Right? Didn't he like leave because he because they had like difference of opinions?
Yeah, I can't remember what the reason was, but yeah, and people paraded. People were happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
So
we want news. Ridiculous concept of we want news for us, but we want news that is spun, just like all the news is spun to some degree, to our worldview. And they've made bank for decades. Okay, so I'm not being a dick when I say go play something else. I'm saying maybe there's a great business in that for people. I mean, hell, I don't imagine tons of liberals and progressives like me were going out and playing Deer Hunter, but that was the massive fucking thing.
excuse me. God damn. What you just said made me fucking choke.
Oh man.
God damn. Sorry. But he wants to say play something else. What can we play when it's all woke?
So it reminded me of like Idris Elba when he's the Wings challenge.
What the fuck? but no, that's in my head.
Shit.
No, but he says play something else. But the thing is, everything's woke. What can we play that's not woke? I mean, look at Call of Duty. We just covered Call of Duty. You know, to the point where we can't even play that game if we say the wrong thing.
Yeah. And also, anytime a movie comes out that's not woke, like there's a big backlash on it.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? Like, Nefarious just recently came
out.
Right? I mean, we agree it's a little preachy. You know, it's definitely
a little bit. Maybe a little.
Definitely for a certain, religious demographic. But at the same time, it's like, hey, like we said, if it's not for you, don't watch it then. But
right.
That movie received a lot of backlash and was kind of, I feel like it was almost like, what's the word? Like shadow banned in a sense, because I didn't really hear about it at all.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, it didn't have a wide release, I believe. I don't think it had a wide release. It is more or less, I don't necessarily know if I want to call it an indie film. But it's not by any big studio. No one that we would know. So there's that. But
thing for a long time. But you're not owed Starfield. You're not owed these games. And so if these creative types, of which I am one, and I was one working in that industry for a very long time, have certain views where they are empathetic, or literally they are, in a lot of cases, the people who they are making these decisions about, like whether you're talking about transgender folks or LGBT folks or whatever, they're going to make what they want to make. And I mean, obviously within reason. I mean, it's a bit.
But what makes you think they're owed our games, such as Elden Ring or Dark Souls or whatever? He says that we're not owed these games. Well, we paid money for these games, right?
Yeah, and they're expensive, man. They're not like $5.
Yeah, we're talking $60, $70.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on whether you want the expansion packs. You could be Mortal Kombat 1, which I am not buying until I find out, how the game actually is. You can get the deluxe edition for $110. $110 for a fighting game.
Yeah, and I mean, just to put it in perspective, I mean, between tax and whatever, like taxes and all, it's like that's
$12,
at least like half a day's work. Probably more. I mean, depending on how much you make or whatever, but it's a lot. When you put it in terms of hours worked to make that kind of money, like it kind of sucks to work that to get a game you don't like.
Yeah, and then you get mad. Then like they do something in the game, they put something in there that just makes you mad. So of course, as it's going to be upset because you paid a lot of money for that. Well, yeah, I would say that is a lot of money. He paid money for it, and it's like I just wanted to escape into a whole a different world, and you just current day us, like he said. So
business as well, but so far the business has not shown that people like this guy are right. So it's like, just go play, play a game with voice acting with Chuck Norris and Scott Baio and John Schneider, and these are all old guys. Who the fuck is John Schneider? I don't know who the young conservative performers are, but that's all I'm
There
saying.
are none.
Go be conservative, enjoy it, but don't act as if you're owed creative product that's a certain way. You're not. So
Also, when we try to find something else, such as comic books, right? The Rippaverse, Mr. Eric July, he's got some traction going with his comic books. They want to cancel. They want his whole comic book company that he started to crumble because it's not what they're used to.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people who like you said, like hate the Rippaverse. They want to tear it down, or they complain about
Sound
the
of freedom.
Yeah,
We want to find something that's not preachy to us. We want to try and find a movie like Sound of Freedom or something like that. Well, Sound of Freedom, I haven't seen the movie, but it might be preachy, it might not be. But the point is, we want to find something that more or less would be something that we are more or less inclined to watch. But when we do find that thing, you guys want to get rid of it. You guys want to keep it hush hush. You want to shadow ban it, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I said, there's certain movies that like I'll hear about, months, weeks, years, however after the fact, where it's like, oh yeah, this movie's pretty good, and it aligns with like your views, and I'm like, oh wow, like I haven't heard of it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't see any trailers, I didn't see anything, and it makes you think. It's like, and then you look at like how it's performing, and some of these movies are like very successful, and so it's like, oh okay, so it's not like it was, like it's funny how I haven't heard, this is anecdotally, but like I haven't heard of it. Why is that?
Yep.
How come I see like all these promotions for all these other movies, but not this one?
Exactly.
it's not like the Mormons. And if you don't like, here's the funniest part though, really quickly. So this was because I've been playing the shit out of Starfield. Love it. Maybe my favorite game of the year, if not beyond. This is a guy who's complaining at the title screen. A bunch of these guys. I saw Disrespect do it, and I saw this guy do it, and I saw the crazy guy do it. I saw that young woman who's like, "Oh, I'll be sexy and I'll be conservative." That's a sweet grifter spot. Maybe she's serious. I don't know. But
I'm curious to see who he's talking about there.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about Melody Mack, but yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird for him to say that, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You're caught up on a title screen of a game that, if you want it, you can be a captain of your own starship. You can be the manliest motherfucking man in the world. You can make your character look almost.
So this is where he starts really going off the deep end. It gets so weird. So let me back it up just a little bit. He starts going on a tangent, and it makes me question how he is as a person and how he thinks.
Sweet grifter spot. Maybe she's serious. I don't know. But you're caught up on a title screen of a game that, if you want it, you can be a captain of your own starship. You can be the manliest motherfucking man in the world. You can make your character look almost just like Joe Rogan, and you can go out into the world and you can create a crew for your spaceship, short of a couple of force missions where you have to go with an individual, where 95% of your experience is traveling around on a spaceship filled with women, right?
So I guess he I don't know if he's trying to say Joe Rogan is a conservative. And if that's what he's saying,
he said like manly man, and like he didn't directly say it, obviously, but he was kind of hinting at like a manly man is a conservative type guy, and then he compared it to
Right.
Joe Rogan. So, is that what he's hinting at?
Joe
Hate to break
Rogan,
it to
who
you,
was
Joe Rogan's not
shown
conservative.
right. I mean, Joe Rogan, who supported Bernie Sanders. Joe Rogan, who was okay with having Joe Biden on, who is open to having Joe Biden on his show, but not Donald Trump. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's conservative, buddy. You really know what you're talking about here.
And they don't have pronouns, and they don't talk about them, they. They're just a lot of them are hot. Depends on the NPCs.
It's actually they, them. You fucking bigot.
You bigot.
But hot women flying around in a starship by a male captain, and he's the only guy on board. You can do that in this game. Tragically, but I mean, I support the medium. You can go around and kill people. As long, you know, you're going to get in trouble for it unless you're really sneaky, but you can do that too. Go around and kill people you don't like in this game. If you're like, you look.
Yeah, you can go around. You're a conservative, right? Conservatives go around killing people, right? That's what conservatives do.
You don't like.
Yeah,
well, yeah,
they kill.
Like
yeah, you're a conservative. You can just go around shooting people, you know, that you don't like. You can do that. You can live your fantasy as a conservative, going out and killing people.
I also like how he assumed that, he assumed the gender of a lot of people there, NPCs.
Yes.
Because he's like, oh, yeah, there's hot women and the male pilot is this or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it's funny how you're kind of assuming a lot there, huh?
Yeah.
How do you know they're women? Do they explicitly state their pronouns?
Good point. You know? Very interesting.
Look like a liberal kind of dumb thinker. I'm going to kill everybody that looks like
anyone who looks like a liberal. If they look like a liberal, you can go and kill them.
Yeah,
because that's what all conservatives do. What a fucking... And he has the audacity to call someone like Craig from Side Scrollers arrogant. When he is the most normal guy you'd ever fucking see on the internet.
And it's funny how, like, Craig's take was so reasonable. It's like, yeah, if you keep bothering me over and over, regardless if it's a Mormon, it could be anything. If you just keep bothering me about the same topic over and over, and I keep saying, no, I don't want to hear about it, yeah, I'm going to get annoyed.
Exactly.
That's a reasonable thing to say.
Yeah, it's not out of this world to think that. And for him to be like, oh, yeah, you can go and kill anyone that you disagree with. What does that say about you that's crossing your mind?
Well, yeah, it's like he very clearly sees conservatives as like the enemy. Like they're like bad. Oh, like they like to just target, liberals.
Right.
It's like, no, we just I don't think it's that I don't know. I don't think it's that I don't know, black and white in terms of good and bad.
Yep. What a piece of work. But wait, there's more.
Watch MSNBC. Okay. You can do that in this game. You can go into the biggest news organization in the known universe of the Starfield universe and lay waste to it, or at least the parts you can get access to. All right. So this game that will let you live out what I consider to be very dumb, dangerous, cruel fantasies. You are, or totally not, could be misogynistic fantasies, but also just really, whatever you're into, sexy fantasies. I'd love to be a ship captain and all the crew. It's like sexy Star Trek, but all the ladies are like Taylor Swift and Selena Gomez. That's it.
I love how he kind of trails off. Like maybe he's like, oh shit. Like I think he kind of realized how crazy he started sounding because he's just like,
oh, you could be a misogynist and do these things that I would like to do.
Yeah. No one is saying that. No one is saying, like, I want more women to look like Taylor Swift or Selena Gomez.
Well, I just love how he
Who
started
is out
it.
here saying this shit?
Well, I just love how he started comparing it to a misogynist. And then,
Right.
like, at the start of the sentence, he said, this is what a misogynist would do. And then by the end of the sentence, he goes, but I would do it. That's what I
Yeah.
want. And it's like,
Right.
you just effectively called yourself a misogynist.
You outed yourself, bro. Like,
yourself.
it blows my mind hearing this guy. And like I said, he kind of was trailing off. He's like Taylor Swift or Selena Gomez. And, and then he just like, what is wrong with this guy? Oh my God. That is weird. That's
kind of
weird.
creepy. I don't hear conservatives saying that
pretty
kind of
creepy.
shit.
Yep.
Anyway.
Anyway, I lost myself there.
Focus. But you can do that. And that's not misogynistic. That's just fun. That's just sexy porn time. But instead, you won't even give this game that gives you all that freedom the time of day, because on the character creation screen, the developer has put a choice in for those people out in the world who either want to role play with gender or who already are like, hey, that's me. I'm non-binary. I identify as non-binary. Poop. I can have my fantasy in this game too. How selfish of you to not want them, to not allow them to feel as if you are being the one who's harmed here, when you're being given a simulation where you can do, a whole hell of a lot compared to most games to live out whatever fantasies you've got. But it's not okay for them. I mean, talk about entitled and selfish, man. There's a point where you just have to look yourself in the mirror and go, I'm an asshole, right? I mean, unless you're grifting, you're a different kind of asshole. But if you're serious, you got to look in the mirror and go, wow, I'm a really mean guy. I'm the bully. I'm the fucking bully that I was supposed to hate. But no, that's me. I'm the asshole. Think about that.
What an arrogant piece of work.
Yeah.
For him to be like, oh, you have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm the asshole. I'm the one that's the problem. Well, aren't you the problem? I mean, you're practically outing yourself as a creep.
Yeah. And it's also like, that's also a very common argument, where it's like, oh, well, it's just this little thing that you have to get over. Just deal with it, because they keep pushing what they want. Because it's like, not to get political, but yeah, like there's always, things like that, where it's just like, oh, it's not a big deal. Just do this, just get over it. And, you could do so much more. And it's like, it's funny how when it comes to your opinions, it should just be accepted. And I should just, okay, fine. You could choose to be non-binary. But yet if I want something, it's, oh, no. That's,
Yeah, that's problematic. This coming from the guy who literally had the most misogynistic video game character of all time. He's the one behind all that. And I just
he started trailing off there. I was like, a little weird there, buddy.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, they, conservatives all like Taylor Swift, right? Conservatives all like Selena Gomez, right? They're totally, conservatives just love their viewpoints.
Well, it's funny because he's like, you can live out these sick fantasies as he's like salivating at the mouth.
Right.
Like, yeah, dude, we're the ones with the sick fantasies. Okay.
He's like, stop it, damn it.
Stop it.
He's like, I lost myself there.
Like,
what the
literally. He's like, anyway.
Yeah, anyway. Totally what conservatives think, not what I think at all. But to group everyone into that mindset, like to group everyone into like the conservatism and stuff like that, just because they disagree with you, that's disingenuous and that's arrogant. You know, he's calling us arrogant, but yet he's the one that's being the most disingenuous person here. And
Yeah.
for him calling Az and Craig bullies just because they don't agree with it, that there's something wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but and like
Again,
from
it's
what I
wrong.
hear, his son is transgender or
Mhm.
whatever, and so
Is
I'm
his son?
sure I'm sure he feels a little defensive about that, and whatever that's his personal life. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go after someone's family like that, but the fact that he's coming out and saying, oh, you guys are just bullies and you can do whatever you want, and practically assuming that we all fantasize killing people that disagree with us. No, that's actually the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've never heard of anyone just being like, I want to kill this person because they don't align with my views. I've never heard that. But I have heard people give out death threats to Ryan from RK Outpost for his Batman review.
Yeah. Well, he said he liked the movie.
Yeah. Nerdrotic, his thumbnail when they were talking about Blue Beetle, which was created by someone who is Hispanic, I believe, put in a thing that said, let's talk about it. Because it was a reference to a thing in the movie. I haven't watched the movie, so I don't know, but it was a reference to something in the movie, and they gave him death threats, and he didn't even make the thumbnail.
Yeah.
But yet we're the ones that just want people who don't align with our views to die. And we're conservatives because we don't like their views. We're automatically put in that camp.
Well, yeah, that's another thing too, is that they see it as black and white. It's like there's a lot more gray.
Yeah.
But secondly, is that like it's called projection. They're just projecting what they think onto us.
Yep. Exactly.
So I think, like I said, most of us have, I think, pretty reasonable takes where it's like, hey, man, I just want to play the game. I don't want to have to be reminded of this shit.
Exactly. And I think that's the underlying problem is, we don't want to see this stuff in our entertainment. We just don't. If you want to go out and make your own stuff with that, first of all, advertise it that way. Create your own. Don't make a superhero movie like a Marvel or DC movie or whatever, and make that character something they've never been. Just make your own stuff. But they don't want to do that because it's not going to sell, because they know that the general population of people, especially here in the US, especially people overseas, don't like what they're pushing. So they have nothing, and they're just dividing us further by doing what they're doing. So
Yeah, I don't know. Crazy world. Like
Yeah.
you said, they just that's like we keep saying it, but it's like if they weren't deceptive, if they just said straight up, hey, this is what we're going for. These are this is our what we expect our audience to appreciate. If you don't align with this, then don't buy our game.
Right.
And that'd be fine. We'd all know. Okay, some people would want to buy it, some people wouldn't. That's fine.
Yep.
But the frustration comes in when you feel like you've been tricked or deceived, where it's like you thought it would be a regular game. You can just play, have fun, take your mind off of reality, and then you keep, getting slapped with things that remind you of reality. And it's like,
right.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but if you buy a movie from Lionsgate, like say you buy, like Lionsgate did I Can Only Imagine. They've also done the John Wick movies. If you buy a movie that's by that studio, when you pop in the Blu-ray, I think it's after all the previews and stuff, after all the trailers that they have on the disc, they have like a little message that shows up that And I first saw it in that movie. I Can Only Imagine, because it's kind of I want to say it's kind of a religious movie, but at the very beginning, and I've seen it ever since in these Blu-rays, but it has a message saying there may be some views and religions that are in this movie, but as a whole, we don't support any of it. We're very neutral. It's like, why do you have to put that in there? If anything, you're kind of ruining it. Like, you don't have to say that. You can just stay silent about it, and if people ask, just be like, "Yeah, we just let them do whatever. We let them put whatever in the movie." It's just
weird.
that simple.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's like, yeah, like it's so unnecessary to say,
Yeah.
and it's like I don't see them doing it on the other side either.
Right. And honestly, like, I don't know many people that are going to watch John Wick and be like, yeah, I want to totally go out and start killing people with pencils. Like, you just don't see that. So I just I don't even know, man. But I guess we should start talking about Ahsoka for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was the best episode.
It's not saying much.
It's not saying much, but it was the best.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on it?
Overall, I thought it was all right. Like you said, I think it was the best episode, but not saying much.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of, I don't know, a lot of silliness. Of course, the only real good thing I could say is Ray Stevenson.
Yes.
He's just easily the best part of the show. I mean, like, literally everything else, I kind of want to just fast forward to get to him.
Yeah, and he plays that traditional Star Wars villain that I think we've always loved, where he's just he's very calm but menacing, and he's very intimidating, and he has honor, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. He's like, hey, let her go. I told her she was okay. I told her I wasn't going to kill her.
Yeah, and he's like, I'll keep to my word.
Yeah.
I
really like that.
But besides him,
right.
I don't know. It's a lot to talk about.
And Marok turned out to be just a fart in the wind. That was great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm still like, we're on episode 4 of 8. So I mean, we'll see what happens with him if there's more there. I feel like there probably is. I'm sure there's some. I don't even know. I can't even make up a fake explanation, but I'm sure there's something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it turns out he was this. I don't know.
I don't know. Honestly, I kind of doubt it at this point. I almost want to say that he was created by that Night Sister, whatever her fucking name is, that old lady.
Yeah.
I want to say that maybe she conjured him up, but if that's the case, then why was she locked up in the first place in the first episode? Like, can she just get herself out?
It's kind of crazy that we're already halfway through the season and like nothing happened.
Right. I didn't like if you watch Ahsoka in the animated shows, she's very fast and very agile. Rosario Dawson clearly isn't.
No. No. Very slow and admittedly fine. Maybe it's not necessarily her fault, but she might just not be the best fit for the role then.
Right. My thing is she's just very Ahsoka and Sabine, pretty much anyone that was introduced in the shows should not be in the animated shows should not be in live action. You know what I mean? Anyone who came from the animated side of Star Wars should not leave the animated side of Star Wars. They just shouldn't. And it's very evident when people are just like, well, who's Hera? Who's Sabine? Who's Ezra? What's going on with Thrawn? No, they leave this stuff without they give you all this content, but there's no context to any of it. They don't try to fill you in. They just expect you to just know what happened. They expected you to watch these shows. And I think that is a huge mistake. That there's no I was actually kind of surprised that they didn't have, because they did it with Obi-Wan. They did it with the first episode of Obi-Wan, where they show you like what happened in the prequels to kind of fill you in.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But they didn't do that with this show. They were just like, they just had the opening crawl, and it's like, here you go.
Yeah, no. You're supposed to watch what, Clone Wars, Rebels, you're supposed to even watch Mandalorian.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on at all. I don't know who any of these people are.
And that's the thing. Like, no one, the typical Star Wars fan probably hasn't watched these shows. Not the animated ones. Like, a vast majority of Star Wars fans haven't watched these animated shows.
Well, especially since they were made for kids.
Right. And they look very much like they are for kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they really shot themselves in the foot. And I don't know if Dave Filoni expects it to be like, oh, because people like this show so much, now they want to go back and watch the Clone Wars. Now they want to go back and watch Rebels. That's not the case.
Yeah, no.
Especially for Clone Wars. Clone Wars is has 7 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think many people want to watch 7 seasons that have 21, 22 episodes a season.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not even told linearly, right? Like, isn't the story just kind of bouncing back and forth? So.
Yeah, no, it's very, they do like this anthology kind of way of telling the story, where it's like some episodes connect. Usually the episodes that connect are usually released back to back. So like you'll get the first part of the episode one night, and then next week you'll get the second part, and then then they'll do like something that takes place like earlier in the timeline, and it's very all over the place.
Yeah.
So yeah, they really messed up there. But what else happened?
Well, I know at the relative, I think it was at the start of the episode, like early on, Ahsoka said something like, "Oh, we can't let them bring Thrawn back. He's the heir to the Empire."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, look,
Wink,
they
wink.
said it. They did it.
Wink, wink." Yep.
Wink, wink.
And not to mention, if Thrawn is such a threat to the galaxy, why doesn't she talk to Luke? Why doesn't she reach out to Luke?
Where's
literally
Luke?
The guy that faced off against the Emperor and Vader.
Like, I understand it's her friends, but realistically, who would be more helpful, Sabine or Luke?
Exactly.
Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, but Sabine really likes Ezra. You don't understand.
Like, she can come with, but like, why isn't Luke there?
Exactly.
He's a big threat to the whole galaxy. What's Luke doing right now?
Jerking off in a hut somewhere, I guess. But
But yeah, there's so many weird things with this show that like little things that don't matter and like big plot holes are just like, what the like even the very start, remember like the droids were like fist fighting.
Oh yeah.
And it's just weird. I'm like, they're droids. Like, they don't even feel anything,
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, why are you punching each other? Why didn't you just shoot from afar? Right? If you have guns, why not just stay back and just shoot? Why would you run up?
Because then Sabine and Ahsoka wouldn't know that they were outside. Essentially.
But so weird trying to stealthily take out a droid by like punching it. And I'm just like, it's a droid. It doesn't feel anything. We also saw in the first episode that those droids explode.
Yeah.
And not just like a little explosion. I mean, like that could like take out a city.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they don't decide to just
do it.
Ahsoka's ship.
But I didn't know this, but apparently David Tennant voices that droid, like that. Uh, I can't remember how you say his name.
Like the
But
good one, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, the one that's with Ahsoka and Sabine.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. The more you know. But yeah. So essentially they try to get the star map back, and in the forest when Sabine is fighting, what's her face, the chick that doesn't blink.
Shin Hati.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka's fighting Marok, and she kills him almost immediately. Wouldn't it be easier just for them to take on her together rather than Sabine just being like, "Oh, you go on and go after what's his face, Balon," instead of just taking her out first. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, when she leaves, I guess Sabine tries to like force push her, but like nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that make you go, okay, she can't use the force, or at least she's trying to learn, but she's not there yet. So, like, yeah, let me just like hold her up and like snap her neck or something.
Yeah. Well, also like that. Yeah, that's what kind of gets me is like I don't understand how Sabine could even hold her own in a fight, like a lightsaber.
She's plot armor, apparently.
Yeah, because like I don't know. Like to me, it's like force wielders are kind of superhuman. Like they can like they have quicker reflexes. They can sort of briefly see into the future a little bit. They tap into the force, and it's just like I don't think I get it. She was trained by a Mandalorian, I guess, but I don't think she would be able to hold out, for too long against someone who's trained in the Force with
Right.
a lightsaber, which is something they specifically train with.
Yep.
Like when Django was fighting Obi-Wan in Episode 2, he wasn't fighting him with a lightsaber, right? Like he was using his own Mandalorian skills and other ways to like attack Obi-Wan.
She's a Mandalorian, by the way. She has that training. So,
she can hold her own apparently.
Right. And then Shin Hati just ends up running away anyway.
Yeah, which I don't get that too. She throws like a smoke, bomb or whatever, like it's like a stun, and then just runs away. And it's like, dude, you just stab her, like slice
she
her.
Can't see you. You can kill her.
Yeah. Well, I even loved right before that when like the droid tells Ahsoka and Sabine like, "Hey, you guys are much better when you stick together."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay,
Split up
that's a good idea." And then, as soon as literally immediately was just like, oh, "Okay," and then separates to fight enemies.
Like you couldn't have a reason as to why. Like they couldn't have like some sort of like dilemma where they had to make this choice where it's like, oh, I can't leave you. No, you have to. And then that could have just been, you know what I mean? But they didn't do that.
Yeah.
If it was so easy to kill Marok, who was probably more powerful than Shin Hati, why didn't Ahsoka just help Sabine with her, kill her, and then go to Balon? Would have been nothing. They would have skipped the galaxy in an afternoon.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the couple seconds that you saved probably would have been better used, like you said, just take out that apprentice, was it Shin Hati, take out the apprentice, and then go after the main guy.
Right. And so and I don't even know, that's the thing. I don't even know where Shin Hati went to. Because she popped the smoke and ran away. Right?
Yeah, and then came back.
But like the thing is, Ahsoka's fighting Balon, and Sabine shows up first before Shin Hati, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, where they were fighting was like, it wasn't like there was any like big structures around. Like I just feel like if she ran away, you'd see her running away.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you'd be like, "Hey, there she is."
Yeah. Right. But like she must have like jumped up in a tree or something. Like I
Just hiding.
don't understand. But
yeah, there was so many things. Like even like Ahsoka, like why didn't Ahsoka even sense them? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Shinhati and Marak like kind of snuck up on them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
they
that's
were
the thing. That's happened. That's happened a couple times. Where
yeah, it's just like, dude, where's your force sense? You know what I mean?
right. I don't understand it. And I also thought it was funny. So, Balon, he fucking yeets her off to not just the edge of the cliff, but apparently the edge of the universe.
Yep, literally.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. But Sabine ends up picking up the star map, Ahsoka picked it up, and I guess it burnt her hand, and she dropped it and rolled away. So I'm curious to see if part of the star map is like engraved on her hand, like seared into her hand now.
Yeah, especially at the end when he destroyed it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, how are they gonna follow? And it's like, I'm sure, yeah. It's like, oh, here's that part of it.
Right. So, so I kind of chuckled at it, but Sabine, she picks up the star map and she's holding the blaster directly at the star map. But like, wouldn't she just shoot her hand off doing that?
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like,
you know what I mean?
Like I was gonna say, if you're like, I mean, literally anything. Like, there's a reason you cut meat on a cutting board. You don't just put it in your hand and just start cutting.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like if you shoot it, wouldn't that hurt your hand?
Let me cut these cabbages real quick.
Yeah, like, oh, I got this pineapple. Let me just chop it while I hold it with my hand.
Yeah.
We can't forget, Shinhati still doesn't blink.
Yeah. Well, actually, she did.
Oh, really? I didn't pay attention too much, but a couple scenes, I'm like, there she is, not blinking again.
Yeah. So when they get onto the ship, I should have made this a bigger deal, but they get onto the ship and they're about to like warp through space. She's like, I guess. So you got Balon on the trying to the camera's flipped. So you got Balon over here, then Sabine's in the middle, and then Shinhati's on the right of the screen. And I guess she must have like turned her head to the right, and you kind of see her blink. So I'm like, oh, it happened. She blinked. She does actually. I think it was because she got that new download. So now her AI, AI in
updated.
body can actually like allow her to blink. So I'm curious to see how that's going to be for the rest of the series. I think we need more of her blinking to make her look more human, at least.
Maybe the next software update will have like facial, emotions. Like
exactly. I wonder if they did CGI her to fucking blink.
They're probably like, oh man, everyone's pointing it out. This is embarrassing.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, it's kind of like I remember Game of Thrones season 8. Remember they had like
coffee cup,
yeah,
and the water bottle. They CGI'd that shit out for the Blu-rays. Yep, they sure did. But yeah. So anyway, they get the location into the ship or whatever, and I guess it's a lot harder to destroy the star map because all he did was like hold his lightsaber there, and it kind of burnt away or whatever. I don't know, but regardless.
Well, yeah. I mean, even like backing up when Ahsoka is fighting, what's his name? Balon, right? Yeah, when they're fighting, that was a decent fight. I mean, it was a little slow.
It was okay. It was okay.
I think he made it cool because he would say things like during the fight. You know what I mean? To like try to like tempt her or whatever. Like that was cool.
Yeah. I hated that stupid move that she had, where like she had like the one lightsaber up and I guess the other one down, and she went up again. She was pushed up against one of the pillars or something, and so she did this weird like thing where she was like she had her foot up against the pillar, Like,
Oh yeah. Okay, I know what you
You know
mean.
what?
Yeah,
You
like
remember
behind
that?
her to like
yeah, I thought that was so dumb. I hated that. I don't know. I haven't heard anyone complain about that enough.
You know,
I hated
honestly,
that.
what was getting me, and it's such a little thing, it really doesn't matter, but it's just like it was so funny. Is like that their hands are like so close to the blade itself, like the lightsaber
Yeah.
part where it comes out. It was always funny to me when I watch it because I'm like, oh my god, they're like a centimeter away from just chopping their finger.
Yeah, they're gonna fucking sear their thumb.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny because their blade is the hilt or whatever is long.
Mm-hmm.
It's a solid, like, I don't
Yeah.
even, I'm not a good, I don't know, foot and a half or something. It's like, dude, you can grab it anywhere else, but they grab it right by the
Yeah.
blade, right where the
Well,
light comes out.
I hate that Dave Filoni keeps treating Star Wars like a samurai film.
Hmm.
The way they fight and everything. Even that whole, because they did it in this show. I can't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before it, but they did it at some point in this show. I think it was last week's episode. Where they did that like Japanese standoff where they're holding the swords and they fucking charge at each other and slice.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was this episode.
Um,
With was that with Maroc or no?
I think it was this episode.
It might have been this episode. Now that I'm thinking
It's hard
about
to tell because they're all like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Like, they're so
no,
quick.
I
It's
think it
not
was
like-
this episode. I think it was this episode.
I think so.
Yeah, where they like charge and they do that classic like slice, and then it's like,
Mhm.
oh, who did it? Who's dead? And of course,
Maybe
we know
that's-
who's dead.
Maybe that's how.
Um,
Is that how she killed Maroc?
Uh,
Right, because he was like spinning his blade,
I think so.
and I think they did. I forget.
I forget myself. Should have watched this before doing this, but I should have watched
one
it again.
time's
but-
enough, please.
Yeah, I know. But they did that. They did that in this show once. They did that in Rebels. I don't think they did it in the Clone Wars. But it's like it.
Well, they also literally made an anime.
Yeah,
Of like a Star. I don't know exactly what the context is, but he's like a Star Wars like samurai guy.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
his
That's
lightsaber.
right. It's like a black and white thing.
Yeah, and like his lightsaber's like broken or something. Like it doesn't shut off.
Yeah,
He has to walk around like a literal sword.
yeah. He like pulls it out like a samurai sword.
Yeah.
and- yep. I remember that. They're treating it, and I mean, like George Lucas, he was inspired by samurai films when doing Star Wars, but it wasn't. They're Jedi Knights, not Jedi Samurai. You know, like that's the problem that I have with that.
Well, my thing is that like it can be cool, but it's to me, like I said, I feel like the fighting is just so slow.
Yeah,
And I mean, like I said, maybe it's partially the budget. They don't have enough money to do good choreography, or maybe it's just the actors are getting older. I don't know what the reason is, but to me, it's just, like I said, all the action sequences feel so slow to me.
yep,
Every lightsaber battle to me felt so slow. I was like, dude, you're supposed to be like I said, Jedi or any kind of force wielder is supposed to be like almost superhuman. They're supposed to be. It's not just a regular guy swinging like a stick. You know what I mean?
yep. And as far as like the fighting goes, I just feel like a lot of the choreography is just lazy. Like I don't need it necessarily to be dancey like the prequels, or at least in Attack of the Clones. I mean, Phantom Menace was kind of dancey too. I guess all the prequels had their kind of dancey lightsaber battles. I don't need it to be like that, but I need more energy in the room when it comes to these lightsaber duels.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels it feels like it's the exact opposite of what the prequels did, where they were just, it just feels a lot slower. It's almost like we got a bunch of Finns running around with lightsabers, just doing the fucking baseball bat kind of swinging.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right. And when they try to be stylistic, it doesn't work, because the actors are slow.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like I said, I don't know if it's a budget thing or what, but you could tell they didn't spend a lot of time
No.
on like, you know, making like the choreography being good, you know,
Right.
and crisp.
And excuse me. I guess we can talk about the ending. Right?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there's too much else
Yeah.
during the episode I can think of. I mean, there's little things like Sabine shooting at Balon and like still shooting in the same spot. He barely moves his lightsaber to block it.
Although he moved it a little more this time than he did in the first episode, I thought.
Yeah, but still, like there's, you know,
Yeah.
like even that, like it's cool to see the sparks in the lightsaber when they hit, but it's like I said, it's kind of lazy because it's like, dude, in the past, you know, they would literally like swing their lightsabers in big motions because they have, you know, blasters in multiple directions, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, and even I'll say one more thing I have is just that like when Ahsoka was fighting Balon, like I think Shin Hati, didn't she show up like behind Ahsoka and Ahsoka like force pushed her? Do you remember that?
She might have. I don't remember.
I was gonna say I think they were fighting and they stopped fighting and Ahsoka turned around and, you know, Shin Hati came up and then she like force pushed, you know, Shin Hati into the wall or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of weird because I was like, if you're like, it was kind of weird on both sides. It was like, if you could do that to her, why not do that to him? Just like try to push him, you know?
Yeah.
And then vice versa is like, if Ahsoka's turned around focusing on Shin Hati, why doesn't Balon just strike her down, you know?
Yep.
Like it was kind of, I don't know. It was just a little weird. It was like the chain of sequences was a little bit, again, going back to like a little slow, you know? It's just like, you could easily just take her down right here. Are you? Hello? Is this my show now? All right. Well, it's my show. So, well, yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to wait for him to get back so we can talk about the ending of the episode. But yeah, like I said, there was just, it's only, I think it was about 30 minutes this time. Actually, no, it was, I think similar to the last episode, actually. This one was about 35 minutes. But if you cut out the recap and cut out the credits, about 30 minutes. Which, I mean, again, to me, it's like not a lot really happens. It's kind of weird, you know, 4 episodes in and realistically, you know, I still don't really care about any of the characters. And like I said, some of the plot holes are a little silly to me. I mean, I don't understand why the droids wouldn't just explode to take out Ahsoka's ship at the start of the episode. I don't know why Ahsoka and Sabine wouldn't just team up to kill Shin Hati and just end it right there for her. I don't really understand that. Oh. Sorry, we're professionals. My laptop closed for a second there. But yeah, overall, I think this is probably the best episode before we get into the ending because there's a big reveal in the ending. So taking that aside, I think this episode is probably the best so far. But like I said, still kind of boring, still kind of some plot holes. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me. Like there's 8 episodes total. And like I keep saying, it's like, I feel like not much has really happened in these first 4 episodes. And I mean, I guess I don't know what to even say in terms of what I was expecting. But I don't know. It's a lot of telling and not showing, I guess, is what I'm feeling. You know, is they keep telling me that, oh, you know, Thrawn is a big threat. This is a big threat. We really, you know, this is a big problem. But they're not like showing it. Like I don't see it. I don't feel it. I didn't watch Rebels, so I don't really understand. Besides, like the EU books, I don't really understand much about this version of Thrawn. I don't know what makes him so big and bad. You know what I mean? Oh, you're back.
I fucking hate Xfinity.
Yeah.
So these fucking sons of bitches. Collect my thoughts. These fucking cocksuckers. They want to give me this. They want to send out a text. I'm assuming it's a mass text to everyone who has bitch ass Xfinity, and they want to be like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna shut off your internet for the entire fucking day, right? The entire fucking day." So I'm trying to get ready for work because I have nothing else going on. Because usually I like to eat and watch whatever I want to watch, but I can't do that because guess what? Everything has to use the fucking internet. Everything has to use the fucking internet, and these stupid bitches shut it off for a whole day, a whole fucking day, and all because they want to improve. They said, I have the text right here, as a matter of fact. Let me pull it up. Let me fucking pull this shit up. Let's see. We've started work in your neighborhood to enhance the Xfinity network. Enhance! So why the fuck am I still cutting out on the fucking internet? It makes no goddamn sense. Xfinity, you need to get your shit together because as far as I'm concerned, you're the best one I can get in my fucking area, you fucking sons of bitches. Anyway, let's talk about fucking Ahsoka.
Trash Talk has a meltdown.
Fuck you. God damn. I hate these goddamn sons of bitches so goddamn much, man. They're fucking shit. It's the worst fucking thing. Imagine having the best internet connection still be fucking shit.
Almost lost my cool there. Well, I was just saying with Ahsoka, I was just saying that, like, you know, we're already halfway through the season or show. I don't know, who knows? And yeah, I just feel like not a lot's really happening. It just feels a lot of telling and not showing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, like I was saying, they keep telling me, they're like, oh, you know, Thrawn's a big deal. He's a big deal. And it's like, but I didn't watch Rebels, so I guess I don't know. But it's just like, I don't really understand why he's a big deal. You know, they do a good job explaining.
Yeah. And I honestly, to be honest with you, I can't. I don't know why Thrawn's such a big deal to them. Personally.
So I mean, like, the EU Thrawn's cool, but like, you look at Disney's Thrawn, it's like, I don't understand what makes him such a big deal to the galaxy, you know?
So,
but yeah, let's get into the ending, the big reveal.
Well, before we get to the big reveal,
I
don't understand why Xfinity is so shit. No. I don't understand how. What the fuck happened to Ahsoka? Right? Like, I don't. She got yeeted off the cliff, which essentially she got yeeted off the edge of the world, the edge of the whole galaxy. Apparently, she just woke up in the world between worlds for no fucking reason.
Well, you don't understand. You know, she burned her hand and fell off a cliff, so you know, she's obviously in a different, or she's obviously not. She's you know. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie, I have no fucking clue what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what happened there.
Yeah,
like I mean, I assume she fell. Well, I guess. See, I don't know. Did they open?
They didn't show you.
Yeah, they didn't really show it. She just kind of just fell and immediately woke up in the world between worlds.
Yeah,
we're supposed to just know what that means and how she got there.
Right. So.
But what's the?
He wakes up in the world between worlds, and I fucking hated it. I hated hearing Hayden Christensen's voice saying, "Hey, Snips." I hated it when when Anakin called her Snips in the Clone Wars show. I hate it when he calls her Snips in right here. Like, why is that a thing? I swear to God, if she calls him Sky Guy, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit. That's her nickname for him, Sky Guy.
Sky Guy.
Sky Guy. I fucking hate that.
But yeah, that's the big reveal is that at the end she wakes up, she's in the world between worlds, right? She's like, oh, where am I? And then you hear Anakin's voice, and she's like, Master, right? And she turns around, and you see Hayden Christensen and his full CGI standing there.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Not really, but yeah,
Which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but he didn't have his scar. He didn't have his scar over his eye. Yeah, they left that out. I don't know why. Probably because it's not supposed to actually be Anakin. I mean, I think no. I definitely think that's not Anakin. That can't be.
Sure.
For anyone who hasn't watched the Clone Wars, which I don't fucking blame you.
Mm-hmm.
There was this Mortis arc. So essentially, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and Anakin go to this place. It's like a 3-episode arc. They go to this. They find themselves. They wake up in this place. I don't even fucking remember how they get there, but they wake up in this place, and it's occupied by 3 people. An old man who is supposed to be the father, Mortis, who kind of embodies the light and the dark side. He represents the balance between the light and the dark. Now, you've got his daughter who is pure light side, whatever, just purely good. And then you have the son who is embodying just the dark side. So I can't remember what happens to them. It's been a while, but I want to say that the father died. I want to say they all died. I don't remember. But I'm curious because I'm kind of curious to see if this is going to be the son of Mortis, the one who's like embodying the dark side, who's pretending to be Anakin. I feel like that would make the most sense to me. Not to mention that was voiced by Sam Witwer, and we have yet to see Sam Witwer in this show. So I kind of think that's what they're going to do. They're just going to have him play the son of Mortis in live action. I don't know. I'm very curious about that. Either way, we're going to get a lot of fan fiction stuff in this next episode. I feel like, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I remember seeing a clip, I think it was from Clone Wars, where, they go visit, you said the father and the son and daughter. And then I think they, because Anakin's like the chosen one, isn't there like a scene where he brings the 2 children like down to their knees or whatever? Like I remember him like standing in the middle of a room and he's like going like this. The two like children go to their knees, not children, but daughter and son go to their knees.
I don't remember. I really don't remember that much from it.
I was gonna say, I think that was I don't know. I think that's what the arc was. It's like Anakin's the chosen one. Like he's gonna take over as the father, but then he declined, so the father kind of like wiped his memory of it or something. All 3 of them have no memory of it, which I thought was stupid. Yeah, I was gonna say I could see that. Like now that Anakin is one with the Force, now he's the new, Mortis or whatever. He's in charge of keeping balance.
I don't think that's the case. If that is the case, I think that's stupid.
I mean, I kind of think the whole thing is kind of stupid. To be honest, that whole. But then again, see, it's hard to tell. Because then again, I didn't watch it, so it's kind of like everything I know about it is like secondhand. You know what I mean? Everything. It's like what I've seen, like what I've heard, or like small clips I've seen. Like I don't know the exact.
It was interesting, however, when you find out by the end of the 3-episode arc that they forget about what happened.
It's like,
they have no memory of it. It makes it even worse because it's like, why did you waste time and money and energy making this fucking episode? What was the point if they don't remember it?
It's always a cheap way to like not have consequences. It's like, they forgot, so therefore it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It was just there to have fucking Anakin talk to a vision of his mom. It was there to have Obi-Wan talk to a vision of Qui-Gon. And I think Anakin also talks to Qui-Gon. And it's also there to kind of reference the events of Revenge of the Sith, where he becomes Darth Vader, which Anakin is told that he is destined to become Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He's literally told that in the episode, but it doesn't matter because he forgets. They all forget. Their memories are wiped of it.
It makes sense, I swear.
But regardless, this episode, this episode 5 is supposed to air, or well, it's supposed to air on Disney Plus, but it's also supposed to be released in select theaters. Makes me wonder how long the episode's going to be. If they're,
I mean, theaters, but see, I don't know. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, is it going to be a regular 30-minute episode? Is it going to be a little longer? I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you heard anything, but
no. I mean, I would assume it would probably be maybe like a 40-minute-ish episode.
But who's going to want to go to the movies to watch that for 40 minutes? Because
it's kind of weird. Because it'd be kind of weird if it was like an hour and a half. Every other episode is 30 minutes.
Unless they play the first 4 episodes before that, but I don't see them doing that.
Yeah.
That's not what they're saying. So, but regardless, this episode is going to be a lot of fan fiction. It's going to show, essentially, I'm expecting them to just thrust Ahsoka into everything that we've seen. So she's going to be fighting. It's going to be a what if scenario where she'll fight fucking what if she was on Mustafar instead of Obi-Wan.
Yep.
What if she was here and
Yep.
It's just going to be her being awesome at everything.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not looking forward to that. We'll see, but yeah, I don't know. It's just going to be stupid all around. But here's something I wanted to talk about. What if they use the world between worlds to explain why Palpatine comes back in Rise of Skywalker? I seriously think that's what they're going to do. I was thinking about it yesterday. And
do you mean mess with time, or his spirit lives there, or something?
I think they're going to explain why, how he comes back. Maybe something happens where he falls down the pit like he always has. Nothing gets messed up until Rise of Skywalker when he actually reveals himself. So I think, if anything, Thrawn's going to have a hand in that. So I think that's going to be the big thing, is that Thrawn uses the world between worlds to get Palpatine back, but after he fell through the pit, he saves him, which is why he's so fucked up by Rise of Skywalker, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, considering this takes place between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
And they say repeatedly that that still can, their sequel trilogy is obviously still canon, so it's going to lead to it eventually.
Yep.
Maybe. I mean,
I can see it happening.
We got is somehow Palpatine returned.
Yep, I can see it happening. I almost guarantee you that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, because I don't really understand. I mean, I don't know how much they really go into it, but this whole world between worlds thing, it's I don't really understand, what is it? What are the, capabilities? You could time travel, right? You can go back in time. So it's a very weird concept for Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think this is necessarily going to fix anything. This isn't going to change any of the outcomes. I think it's just going to be what if scenarios. It's just going to be fan service. People, basically fan made content where it's like, oh, what if Ahsoka was here? What if Ahsoka, because Ahsoka's the best character that Dave Filoni's ever created.
The bestest ever.
Bestest. But like, I'm so sick and tired of Ahsoka. I'm sick and tired of Baby Yoda. It's not going to fix anything.
Yeah.
If anything, they're going to justify the events of the sequel trilogy. That was their plan ever since they started The Mandalorian, was to fix, not change, but fix the sequel trilogy. I think that was their plan the whole time, because especially when they were like, when they were saying about season 1 of Mandalorian that it was going to lead into the events of The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
That's been their whole thing ever since. So,
well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's not like you said. It's not changing the sequel trilogy. It's just justifying it, changing everything around it to make it fit better.
Yep. And given he's gotten a lot of praise for, fixing the prequel trilogy, that's what they hope to achieve. They hope for him to achieve. Yeah, that's what they hope to achieve with this. The thing is, the sequels have been worse. It's a lot worse than the prequels have ever been. Whether or not you like or hate the prequels, I mean, everyone I feel like can agree that the sequels were the worst.
Yeah, well, the prequels, there's like some, there's like, I feel like the things that are wrong with the prequels are not necessarily story. You know what I mean? The prequels, like, some of the dialogue is kind of cringe, and the CGI is not good, like stuff like that. But in terms of like the actual story, like content, the narrative, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Sequels, it's kind of the opposite. It's like, it has better CGI now, and it has
better dialogue.
Budget. Yeah, like bigger budget for better dialogue, whatever.
Sort of. Yeah, it's a shit story though.
They fly now.
They fly now.
So I mean, it's I guess you could make the argument, it's better in those regards, but the story is just unbelievably just trash and incoherent.
Yeah.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yes, somehow. I mean, get over yourselves. Rey
is a somebody. Actually, she's a nobody. Actually, she is a somebody. We just said she was a nobody because.
Because.
Like, I really don't get it.
You're a nobody, but like, oh, we think you're we're hinting that you're somebody, but actually you're no one, and now you are. You're someone, but not who you thought it was going to be. Like,
now you're like the worst choice you could be.
Right. The Rise of Skywalker, except all the Skywalkers fucking die.
Yep, and the Palpatines, right? The Palpatine was a villain throughout the whole thing, is the one who lives on.
Right.
Like his, his
bloodline
lives on. Yeah.
Yeah. Not literally the one who is related, a blood relative of Luke Skywalker. Literally Luke's nephew by blood.
And she also the Palpatines also even hijacked the last name.
Yeah.
Right? She said at the end, I'm Rey Skywalker.
I'm Rey Skywalker.
So it's like, damn, you can't even let the name die in peace. Like, she's going to hijack it for herself.
Exactly.
But yeah, like you said, a lot of this Disney shows and stuff, it's still leading to the same end game. It's still leading to the sequel trilogy. So
yeah, now it's just a matter of them justifying the events of the sequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see it.
But, fucking Ahsoka. I'm so sick and tired of seeing that bitch.
Oh, she'll be in a lot more.
Oh, don't remind me.
Her voice was at the end of Rise of Skywalker, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, but not Rosario Dawson's voice.
Well, well, didn't you say right at the end of Rise of Skywalker, where they had Rey hears those voices? Didn't they use both of Anakin's voice actors, right?
Yeah, Matt Lanter from the Clone Wars and Hayden Christensen. Yep, they sure did. Oh God. But yeah, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we're good. Almost that, yeah, pretty much 3 hours.
Yeah, long. It's probably the longest we've gone so far, so that's good.
Next week we'll have more Ahsoka. Unfortunately,
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka. Yeah, can't wait for that. Oh God. But I'm so ready for this series to end, and we got 4 episodes yet.
We're halfway there.
Halfway there. It feels like we've had more episodes than there were, but yeah.
Yeah.
But if you come across this stream after the fact, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Hang on. Hit the wrong. I hit the wrong thing.
Professionals.
Oh, we're so good at this.